Yeah. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Roll call in advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the decks, you're not bullish enough. Trade it in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity, flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gon' end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me no way. OnChain revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah. Nicky's. Yeah. OnChain revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, change. Yeah, send it to the deck. Yeah, sell it through the spec. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin crypto ecosystems. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the OnChain Hour, and today's show is going to be absolutely amazing, guys, because yesterday, Joe Lubin, CEO of Consensys, went on Block, and he basically said there is a MetaMask token coming, and it will be something that is coming a lot sooner than people think. Think about this for a second. There's a lot of people that use MetaMask back in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, right? After 2021, it started to open up. EVM wallets became easier to create, and you saw a whole bunch of different ones. But before that, MetaMask was really the only one. And everyone that potentially did a swap using the MetaMask aggregator or used the bridge potentially is going to be gifted, an airdrop of the MAS token. This could bring a lot of people back. This could bring hundreds of thousands of people back into crypto to say, hey, you might have $800-900 waiting for you to claim. And what that's going to do, that's a stimulus for the entire, early economy of crypto, right? The people who've been here before, the people who've used it. I am somebody personally, I've done, hundreds, probably thousands of dollars in swaps on the MetaMask because I kind of figured this. Like I was telling Yagobi for a while, every swap that I do on EVM, I do it through the MetaMask wallet, and that's mainly because of laziness too. So I don't have to go to any website or connect my wallet anywhere. I can basically just swap it right there. If I was going to bridge, I just bridge right to the wallet. But now potentially I'm going to be rewarded for all that. I'm going to be rewarded because that actually is the only way MetaMask actually made money, because that's the aggregator. That's the only way that they are actually funding these updates and stuff, is through people swapping and through people bridging. So I do believe that is how you're going to get the biggest airdrop of that. So you still have plenty of time, in my opinion, but we're going to get into that in depth as well. A lot of amazing stuff happening. Today is a triple witching event. So that's kind of why prices are down today. Prices are down today because $6.3 trillion in options are expiring today. We're going to get into that. And then a lot of really other stuff. Gary Gensler was actually he got hit by CNBC. She came hard at him. We're gonna cover that. Brian Armstrong says you can now lend USDC through Coinbase, and they will actually do DeFi for you and get you 10% yield on your stable coins. Yes, 10% yield on your dollar backed stablecoins. This is absolutely huge, guys. And then we're getting into some other stuff as well. So without further ado, let's get the show started. Bring my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? How you feeling today? I feel energized, man. Even with this try-witching crap that's going on, I still feel like the markets are coming back, dude.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the past 2 days, if you look at the crypto bubbles, even when ETH didn't really have that super aggressive to the upside, it bounced back like Bitcoin did yesterday. But the alts, the crypto bubbles were all green and they looked really strong. So I think today is a little bit of a kind of misleading price action day. Like you mentioned, there's this kind of triple witching event or whatever they're calling it. And I think these days are actually really important to pay attention to, because in the future when there's some sort of huge options that's expiring that day, or just something similar to this, to probably say, hey, look, this is going to be a very short-term volatility type of situation for the day. And some people are calling it even at the end of today's workday that it will kind of calm back down and kind of go back into the direction that it originally had started once things calmed down late Wednesday after the Fed meeting, right? So I'm not worried about this at all. I'm excited. I think that you can see with certain alts that have been waiting to get that extra push of energy. We talk about Merlin Chain a lot. I get it. They are one of our partners, but if you pay attention to that token like we do, because it's in the price action, or at least like the crypto bubbles every day, you notice that like getting to that like high 16, 17, and then 20 cents was another level up. And I think many tokens in that kind of same range of being newer and stuff like that are starting to get that energy. So I'm excited for next week. I think next week's going to be good heading into October.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And we're gonna get into that. I didn't think about that too. Like Merlin is a nice indicator for alts, because it is one of the leaders in the Bitcoin ecosystem, right, as an L2. So we'll get into that in a little bit as well. But let's kind of get into the first thing of today's show. Consensys CEO Joe Lubin hints at MetaMask token may be on the way, possibly sooner than you expect. Keep stacking activity on MetaMask swaps and bridges. So I'm gonna play this video for you, because like I can talk about it all day, but hearing the words from his mouth is it just feels different. So let me actually make sure that I have the volume up here, share the screen, put the volume on. All right, here it is right here. Let me know what you think.
Will MetaMask have a token at some point, maybe in the near future?
The MASK token is coming. It may come sooner than you would expect right now. And it is significantly related to the decentralization of certain aspects of the MetaMask platform.
Will MetaMask have
decentralization of certain aspects of the MetaMask platform? Interesting. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I imagine, when he says platform, obviously they do have multiple products. They have the swapping, the bridging, but also they are getting involved with yield aggregation as well, right? And so I don't know what that means in terms of governance. Honestly, I'm just right now trying to kind of figure things out with that statement. But one thing that did stick out was, sooner than you might think was kind of what he was hinting at, it seemed like. And I think other platforms, maybe Abstract, maybe some other ones too, that are planning this airdrop, why would Q4 not make sense? I think it would make a lot of sense, especially Q4 event, if we do have a liquidity event, and we do have this kind of end of 2025 bull run energy, heading into a bullish kind of post bull run year, right? Or like followed up bull run year of 6 planned rate cuts into the equation. Man, it makes sense, in my opinion, to drop a token heading into 2026.
Yeah, 100%. And think about the token for a second too, because it'll be the governance token of MetaMask. MetaMask is something that Consensys has been and always said, hey, this is decentralized. But it's like, how is it decentralized when you guys make all the decisions? Now, the people will make the decisions. If there's an upgrade that needs to go to MetaMask, you'll have to vote on it, right? The holders of this MASK token. And if there's, different features to it, you get the vote on it, right? So this could lead into potentially, big TradFi companies wanting to use this because they get, instead of creating their own wallet, they'll just use this decentralized one, and maybe just use the back end of it, right? But then in reality, they're actually benefiting from using it because they own the token as well, and they get governance in the say of it, right? So this is a product that's been here for 8-10 years now. That it's battle tested, it's proven, right? A lot of people say, I hate MetaMask, blah blah blah. There's other things, but in this way, you don't have to go around and try to create your own wallet or none of that. You can just kind of just benefit from what they've already achieved there and just own the token, be part of the governance, and who knows, there might be some staking opportunities as well, to where you can earn mask using your mask token. So I don't know. I think this is absolutely amazing. I do think the biggest part of this that no one's really talking about is that this airdrop could be for a lot of people who were around in 2017, around in 2020, and around the last couple years. And imagine going to one of your friends and saying, hey, did you use MetaMask back in like 2019, 2020? Yeah, I used it. Well, you should go claim your airdrop because you might have $700-800 waiting for you.
Yeah. And, there is some talk about there's so many users that it might not be as valuable per user, but I don't know about that. MetaMask is a big brand. It's the oldest brand in terms of the wallet industry that we know of that's mainstream. And so I think it might be still decently significant, even though there's a lot of users. Another thing too is I think that the wallet industry is heavily looked over in terms of, because like I will say that it was one of the hardest industries to maintain, because where does that revenue come from, right? But think about how the Web 2 world started. It started about gaining users, right? Wallets have users, because people have to have a wallet to transact in certain ecosystems, or what MetaMask is doing has been adding new ecosystems. They added Solana not long ago. I actually think that was smart. They talked about adding Bitcoin as well. And so those are the things that are going to be voted on, I think. Should we add the Bitcoin standard, et cetera, right? Mm-hmm. But down the line, MetaMask has a lot of users. So it's like Google. Remember, Google's like, we have a lot of users. We're figuring out how we're going to make our revenue. But we have a lot of users, so we have the audience, and we will figure it out. And they did. They figured out how to do it. Advertising, enterprise, all these things. I think wallets will do the same thing, especially, I should say, considering a lot of wallet talk has been about how wallets are kind of like the new bank account in a sense. So I don't sleep on the wallet industry. I think it's going to be generating a lot of revenue in the future.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of aggregation, right? So think about this now. Now there's, if Consensys no longer wants these fees, they're going to give it to everyone else, right? How do you do that? Well, maybe you stake your mask token, and you can earn the fees from the aggregating of the swaps, the aggregation of the bridges, and now MetaMask to integrate hyperliquid perps, trade perps directly in your wallet, USDC collateral, fund on-chain order book, leverage, non-custodial control, game changer for DeFi traders. So now they added another integration of aggregating that can earn people who stake the mask token real fees, real yield, in the sense that more people that use it, the more yield that is generated for mask stakers.
Yeah, I mean, I love this, right? I love them saying, hey, look, I get that we're, the original kind of mainstream wallet, but we're not going to just sit on our thumbs anymore and, just be a part of the industry. We're going to compete again. And I really love that. I think that MetaMask has such a still big opportunity. A lot of people, kind of, like you mentioned, kind of look at them, negatively just because they're so old. And it was kind of like the OpenSea situation. It's kind of, if you dominate the industry, you get comfortable. And I think they did for a little bit. But now, they are open and expanding. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the wallet industry is going to be large enough in the future to have multiple winners, because it's going to all be about, do you have your account with us, or, who, and people are going to have multiple wallets as well. So, look, I wonder what else they're going to go into. Right now, the token is a big part of their focus. They announced that they're going into Hyperliquid. Phantom announced that as well, directly in the wallet. And so Hyperliquid, though, they're being mass adopted now. So, you talk about Aster. Aster had a really big day yesterday, huge day. But look how far ahead Hyperliquid is. I think Aster still has success in terms of volume and stuff, but it ain't going to push Hyperliquid down, in my opinion. I think Hyperliquid is still going to be very competitive. I mean, they're going to lead still for a while.
In the East might be different though, right? Binance being such a huge influence over there. This is CZ's product, right? This is from YZi Labs, formerly Binance Labs, right? So that's the one thing that they have against Hyperliquid here is it seems like they can push their products further in the East than Hyperliquid can.
Hyperliquid is located in the East too, but you are right. It seems like we're hitting a lot
Yeah.
of the I guess like speculative energy or faith that these users are coming from the Western kind of media outlets and stuff or accounts. But another thing too, Binance has the tools to make their volume look insane on Aster.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what I mean? So yeah, but at the end of the day, the integration of Hyperliquid into these mainstream wallets, big, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what happens if Binance integrates Aster all together, right? What if they just say, hey, there's a little tab on the site that says Aster, and you can use the dollars that you have in your Binance account to play. I mean, but then you could have that happen with Hyperliquid too. You could have Kraken do it. You could have Coinbase do that, right? So it's like that's kind of takes away the blame if anything does happen, but it also gives their users an opportunity, and they can make a little fee off each transaction as well. But we'll see.
Yeah, you just get rid of the centralized perps, right? I don't know if they want to do that.
Oh, you can have both, but let's just say there's something that Coinbase doesn't offer. They can say, hey, you can get this, but it's through Hyperliquid.
Makes sense. They can get rid of the liability on a newer token or something.
Exactly. But still not, you don't have to go to another exchange or even Hyperliquid itself. You can do it through a centralized user like them. So let's move along though. But hold on real quick though. I forgot to say, so there's potentially 4 airdrops that are happening in the next, couple months here. Potentially, like you got the MetaMask, you have C, the OpenSea token, abstract token, right? And then there's also another one. But what do you think, man? Do you think potentially we're gonna get airdrop season going into the Q4 to where it's a stimulus for the entire crypto economy?
I do. I really do. I think that there's going to be an airdrop season, and that you just named the big ones, the biggest ones. I think there'll be smaller ones as well, and so it makes sense to me that it's going to happen at some point in Q4, and I think it starts to kick off in October. And so be ready, guys. If you guys are heavy users of chains, that don't have tokens yet, or look, I think like Hemi will be a more of a smaller example, right? Like they're
Hemi already dropped.
Did they? Okay. So something of that size, though, that might be having a token come out, right? We know that like Botanics doesn't have their token. They're using Bitcoin, but there will be those type of size projects that will drop. So I think it's going to be exciting because it's going to be a stimulus on top of hopefully risk on environment, right? So could be exciting
100%.
times.
Yeah, man, for sure. Okay, so today, why is prices down? The main reason, the stock guys were saying anyway, they said largest triple witching in history today. 6.3 trillion in stock and index options futures expiring. Expect heavy hedging flows, max pain, pinning, and potential afternoon volatility all post Fed. So digging into that a little bit there. So basically, what that is that's you get your stock options, you get your futures options, and you get the index options all expiring. 6.3 trillion as absolutely insane amount of money. I mean, that's 3 times the size of Bitcoin. And that's kind of why you're seeing, is this an excuse from the stock guys, or do you think this is really a reason why Bitcoin's pulling back and a lot of the other stuff is pulling back?
No, I think that this is why. I mean, I don't think they would try to use an excuse at this point. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, this seems to be kind of just one of those days to where the volatility is going to be there. Look, I mean, there's going to be winners on both sides, and some winners double dip probably the institutions, right? And so it's going to be an interesting day. I don't think anybody should be freaking out hardcore or anything, but me personally, definitely staying out of any type of leverage today, because Bitcoin is flowing with some of these major the S&P and stuff like that, right? NASDAQ. So we're going to see a little bit of flow with what happens over there. right? And so that's what I'm expecting today. But I do expect this to calm down later in the day, and we get your typical kind of Saturday where people low volume, thin liquidity, and then Sunday pick it back up. And I do expect next week to have some energy. You know, the Fed news and events, I think that was bullish, even though he might have tried to make it, you know, make the audience or like the markets not too over eager or anything like that. But it's a positive thing, and most people are expecting 2 more rate cuts. So no reason to be bearish, in my opinion, at this point in the year.
Yeah, I mean, and you're also seeing stuff like this happen, right? So Russell 2000 just hit a new all-time high for the first time since 2021. Small caps are ripping in the stock arena. That means that there's a risk on over there. Historically, when small caps run, altcoins aren't far behind. And then Blockchain Backer, who is somebody who follows this stuff really closely and really appreciate like his knowledge for this, but he goes, for the first time ever, the altcoin market total 2. And you looked at what total 2 was, right?
Yeah. Total 2 is just everything besides Bitcoin. So
Okay.
Ethereum's rolled into that.
Okay. Everything. So basically, everything besides Bitcoin closed above the 2021 all-time high. The same day as the Russell 2000 closed above the 2021 all-time high for the first time ever. Years of talking about them, and there it is. And as you can see here, he has, you know, all-time high was here, and then the all-time high was here. So the altcoin market and the Russell broke it at the same time. There it is right there. So he's basically saying here that, you know, this is something that he's been looking at for a long time to kind of push the narrative of alt season. And we are here, guys. We are in the early days of an alt season, and that it could lead all the way into the end of Q4, even into Q1. I mean, I'm in the camp for Q2.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about Q2 having the peak of everything?
Yeah, Q2.
Yeah. Possibly, right? There's definitely alts that did that in 2018. Ethereum hit its all-time high in 2018. Bitcoin didn't, but Ethereum did. And that's really where alts start, right? Is with Ethereum. So I could see that, you know, I know we talked about this all year about, you know, will 2026 be kind of this year that we're not expecting in terms of to the upside. And the more that we've gone through this year, I feel like it kind of has to be, right? Because it's like the first year is tough for the new administration. We've been getting through all this stuff. And now finally, it seems like we're going into a risk on environment. And then new a Fed chair next year as well. I mean, yeah, I could see that happening. You know, peak in the beginning maybe of the Q2. I don't really see maybe too late, but who knows? Next year could be completely different.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of reasons why potentially 2025 has been a dud, right? We had 4 years of the anti-crypto army, right? We had 4 years of just no regulation. We had 4 years of Gary the Gun Gensler, right? And speaking of Gary, he went to CNBC yesterday.
They were ripping him up.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's actually show this. Bring up my screen here. All right, let's send it.
They are reversing a lot of what you did. And how are you feeling about what they're doing now?
So I'm very proud of what we accomplished.
And the crypto community is ecstatic not to have you there anymore and to have him there. Looking back on it, I mean, do you think that was the right call?
Yes, I think.
Because look, now we have this like burgeoning industry, and there's so much more innovation and leadership in the U.S.
and a lot more capital coming into it.
There may be more capital in terms of the interest in the public. The public is interested. I get that. But for investors.
You think this is dangerous, what they're doing?
Put aside Bitcoin. But most of the other tokens are not tied to any fundamentals. Like Warren Buffett would say, you know, what are the goods? What are the revenues? What are they selling? And so forth.
They are.
I hate him so much. I hate him so much, dude. I'm so glad it's been what 9 months of him being out, right? Or 8 months of him being out, and he's just still a slime ball. He looks greasy. Like he looks like he rolled in grease for 2 hours.
He's a young Mr. Burns, man. That's what he's like, for real. I mean, literally, physically, looks like a young Mr. Burns. But Yeah, I mean, I love how she went in on him, man. She was just
Yeah.
like, they're reversing every single thing you did.
Mhm.
They are so happy that you're not here. But like, okay, and it was 4 years of turmoil with him. I agree. But that bull run year was pretty electric, right? You're talking about the 2021 year, and he just got settled in and all that stuff. I get that, COVID as well, but you know, you go back to 2017 too. I mean, Trump was in office, right? And so like we haven't got that type of energy yet. You know, maybe just bits and pieces, but we'll see how we finish the year. I mean, we still have Q4, and I really hope Q4 becomes much easier and gets into an environment that we all have been waiting for all year.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, stuff like ETFs and stuff like that that are dropping in Q4 is another big incentive for the markets, right? Because we had yesterday, we had the REX-Osprey XRP ETF, or XRPR, how it's trading, just smashed records. Launching yesterday, September 18th, it hit 37 million in day one volume, the biggest ETF debut of 2025. XRP is making history right now. And this is a futures ETF. It's even the spot ETF that has in-kind redemptions that is coming potentially towards the end of this year. Well, this is absolutely insane. This was crazy. And then today you have Grayscale, who got approved yesterday. They now have a fund in the markets that has Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, Sol, and ADA for people who want to get a little bit more riskier than Bitcoin, a little bit more riskier than ETH, and they add XRP, Sol, and ADA in there for the upward gains.
The index fund, baby. The index
There it
funds.
is.
The index funds have officially arrived. And I'll tell you, those index funds are going to be more attractive to consultants that deal with you know, old money that wants safe, right? And
Yeah.
if they're like, okay, the more that these index funds go live and go online, the more that they're going to get bought up. And also that gets me super bullish on XRP. If they're buying that futures ETF, that means that they're expecting, you know, a Q4 rise up, which most of us are, of XRP. But how aggressive are they going to get with it? And it seems like they're already kicked off. So imagine spot coming out, which is going to follow up soon. So
yeah, 100%. This is 37 million in day one volume. Spot could do 100 million. I mean, honestly, because you're actually getting the actual asset with in-kind redemptions. I mean, dude, I think it's about to get pretty crazy when it comes to altcoins, especially the larger ones. But that money trickles down. We know what happens when you know coins run up, right? You get riskier and riskier down the risk curve, and you try to find opportunity, right? If XRP's already ran, you're like, well, I can't put my new money in XRP anymore because I feel like I missed it. What's the next opportunity? And that's kind of what we've been saying on the show for a long time. There will always be that next opportunity. That next opportunity though is just a lot more riskier. But you know, 2 years ago, XRP was very risky at 30 cents, right? Like it's easy today at $3, but back then it was you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know if they were going to come in and destroy it, right? Meaning the anti-crypto army and stuff like that. So now it's a lot easier to invest in crypto, but there's also going to be newer riskier assets that come on the market that are going to be tradable, and there's always going to be opportunity, especially in a bull run. So
yep.
All right, move along though. Brian Armstrong, now you can lend your USDC and earn up to 10.8%. It's simple to use and gives users the benefits of DeFi without the complexity. Coinbase now routes your USDC into DeFi via Morpho, offering up to 10.8% APY. Easy access through the app, the Coinbase app. The Coinbase app does all the heavy lifting. You can earn the yield. Coinbase offers now a powerful set of on-chain financial services. Lend USDC, earn 11%. Borrow USDC against your Bitcoin and get 7%. So this is pretty crazy. I don't know where the yield is coming from. When it's 11 and 7, it should be like 13 and 11. But I don't really know what's going on. But then I looked into Morpho, and Morpho is potentially giving you maybe their token as well and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking of, how they're able to aggregate 7 to 11% there. But it was powering on-chain lending, and this thing kind of blew up yesterday. And they're using curated through Stakehouse Fi, which is another pioneering open, transparent finance, institutional grade tools and stuff like that. So pretty nuts. And I mean, you can earn on your dollars now.
Yeah, and the thing is too is that like whenever the institutions are coming in and they're experts at these type of products, right? And I
Yep.
think honestly, I think that was a little bit of issues before that we had, obviously with the kind of Ponzi-nomics that happened last cycle and stuff like that. But like with these
Yeah.
institutions coming over, they will be as efficient as possible to where it makes sense, to where if you do ask where is this yield coming, they'll have an answer for you, because they had to do this, right? Obviously, when you're in the banking system and you've gone 100 plus years in it, that yield does go down. Like there's, what I mean? There's more and more people hands in the cookie jar. But here it's new, it's innovative. They're figuring ways out to how to make the math work, right? And that's why I think these yield products are going to be a huge hit for institutions and smart money in the very beginning. And how long does it take for that to where it's more oversaturated? Could take 10 years, it could take 5 years. We don't know, right? This is new for them as well, but they are experts at earning interest and doing things like that. So I think we're going to see some interesting things, because right off the bat, you're kind of like, okay, so this is two sides of the coin here. How does this math make sense? Or, what I mean? One's borrowing against the BTC, the other's lending, but the numbers ain't matching. There's a 4% gap, but they're making it work through aggregation and different, kind of layers of borrowing and lending and stuff like that. So going to be interesting to see how many of these type products roll out here in the next 2 years. I think a lot, and I think it's going to be heavily taken advantage of by institutions.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm thinking of maybe is like, you can borrow against your Bitcoin now, but adding ETH, it might be 10%. Adding XRP, borrow against XRP might be 13%. Borrowing against this asset or that asset further down the risk curve might be 20% or 30%, right? So depending on what you want to borrow against. So it's one of those things where for now, this might be working, and maybe Coinbase is paying the difference, but then eventually on the line, you're gonna be able to borrow against pretty much any asset on Coinbase and potentially paying that. And then you got to remember too, liquidations could be, if you don't pay your loan back or whatever, that asset could be sold into USDC, and then that's another way potentially they're guaranteeing the yield, right? So there's another aspects of the business as well that we haven't really talked about. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. It is really cool though that just normal person, people that I've worked with who have Coinbase, Bitcoin on Coinbase can now take a loan out on it, or if they just have USDC there that they sold their Bitcoin, for instance, but they're waiting to get back in cheaper. Now you can get 11% on that USDC while you wait. So pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
All right. This next one was like mind blowing to both of us this morning when we talked about it. So Kalshi hit 1.3 billion in volume this month. Now 62% of the global prediction market versus 3% just a year ago. Polymarket did 773 million. Kalshi is US only, but expanding via Solana and Base integrations. Kalshi partners with X. That was one of their biggest partnerships. They partnered with Robinhood, Webull, Solana, and Base. And poker legend Daniel Negreanu. Talks also underway with FanDuel for future integrations as well. So Kalshi is doing more volume than Polymarket. No one talks about them. And then on top of that, they have potential deals with FanDuel coming as well.
That's how you want it. You don't want people talking. No, seriously, right? Like you and I talked about this yesterday, because I was like, I've gone through like the past month and a half. I've gone through this like enlightened period with myself, just kind of like, this year has been up and down. Definitely, you've had some up and downs, but like whenever you mentioned this just now too, like they've been quietly under the radar. You know what I mean? And Polymarket has been out there. You know what I mean? And whether it started with the election last year or whatever, and Polymarket is successful, very successful. I'm not saying they're not, but I'd rather be Kalshi behind the scenes, quiet. The one that's like not being paid attention to a ton, just getting stuff done. And you can see they've been doing a lot of partnerships in the back end, dude. You get Daniel Negreanu, he's loved in the poker world. FanDuel, you know what I mean? So I think that, and also this also tells me that this is a huge industry. This is a huge industry. You got Kalshi, which people thought was the secondary one, actually being the more dominant platform. And then you know, Polymarket is obviously very dominant as well. How many little guys are there going to be? I think there's going to be a good amount, and I think it's a good industry, and we'll see how far it grows. But now they're combining everything, dude. Poker, you're combining freaking fantasy. Well, they're not doing fantasy, but FanDuel to sports betting.
Sports, but yeah,
exactly. You know, so this is pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And this is, you know, an easy for FanDuel to offer some of this stuff without having to go through the building on blockchain, right? They can use something like Kalshi, who's, you know, it's built on a blockchain, very similar to how Polymarket's built. And I don't even know what chain it's running on. I'll have to look into that. But it, you know, potentially every X account will have a Kalshi account. Every Robinhood account will have a Kalshi account. Every Webull Kalshi account, right? It's FanDuel, right? Without even knowing
every
it.
hustle.
Every yeah, I mean, even in hustle potentially, honestly, like with these partnerships, it's absolutely insane. Congratulations, Kalshi, because I didn't know who they were a couple months ago. I remember you mentioned them last year when we were doing the election stuff, because you were like checking all the places, and I was like, the first time I heard about them was back then.
Yep, and we've had Jake on. You know, we're gonna have him on today too at 12:30 Eastern. But you know, he's the CEO of Emblem, which is the team that created Agent Hustle, and that's one of his. You know, he wants that predictions market, right? So, you know, AI is going to be a big part of these predictions markets.
100%. All right, moving along though. This is huge from PayPal. So LayerZero-enabled version PYUSD0 remains fully fungible and with a native PYUSD, extending the stablecoin to additional blockchains. So now, PayPal, they were struggling a little bit because their token was only on ETH, and they just expanded it to Arbitrum and I think Polygon. But they were like, how can we get this everywhere? And one of the solutions was partnering with LayerZero. So now you can potentially just take what they have on ETH or Solana or wherever, and you can take it to every chain. So now every chain, potentially Aptos came out and they were like, we're one of the chains who are going to be doing this. They're going to be potentially taking all their pools and putting all their pools in the PYUSD as a partnership with these guys over at PayPal. So I don't know, man. PayPal USD, this is one of the biggest integrations that I've seen, and no one has done it yet. And that's the thing with stablecoins. It's like, yeah, you have your stablecoin, but where is your market, right? Like where are you going to put this? That USDC and USDT is not, right? And right now, USDT and stuff like that they're over on Aptos and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of liquidity. And PayPal is going to start pumping liquidity into all these chains.
Yeah, no, this is big for PayPal, but I'm curious of your thoughts of something that just crossed my mind, because PayPal is a big payment provider. You know, they were huge partners with eBay in the beginning, but you know, in the Web2 world, you know, if you're going to sell online, you're going to get hit with a pretty, in my opinion, it's a pretty hefty fee, right? In terms of, okay, whenever you offboard crypto with PayPal, I think they charge you 3%. I want to say 3%.
Zero with PYUSD.
But how about getting it to your bank account? You know what I mean? Selling it
free.
So if that's the case, right? Then they got rid of one of their streams of revenue, right? And so
now they're getting 4% in holding bonds against to back these, right? So there's
turn it, so they're now their mentality turns into a bank, in my opinion.
Yes.
Right? Because now it's like, how much do you have in your PayPal account that we can temporarily use or whatever, right? But you will always have enough cash flow if you want to take it out. That's the whole idea behind banks, right? If that's the case, then that changes e-commerce, in my opinion, because it gets more and more competitive. You can't maintain a Web2 off-ramping into your bank account and charging 3%, fee for that with fiat. By the way, they do that. And then also, there was like, I think actually, like, all the fintech companies are going to have to act like banks or something to make money in another way, because it's going to be competitive. Because like, you don't want to have a huge chunk of your earnings as a seller or whatever be taken from you, or like a 3 to 5% chunk. That just doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? And so if stable coins and digital assets can bring that gap smaller and smaller, that the onboarding of selling using digital assets will be bigger and bigger. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think that's the future, but they're going to have to figure out how they can make that money. And it seems like PayPal's already kind of creating that blueprint.
Yeah, think about it this way. Let's just say they have $100 billion in stablecoins, right? That are backed by treasury bonds. Those treasury bonds are getting 4%. So you're making $4 billion a year by just backing stablecoins, right? That's huge. So now you're able to charge your customers less because you want to compete with other stablecoins. So if you can onboard and offboard for free, right, and then get on chain and get the assets or get whatever you need to get, that's absolutely huge for the user, which makes me want to use PayPal. Like me, PayPal is my favorite stablecoin right now. I use PayPal. I use this more than anything. If
Really?
we get
That's crazy.
we get paid in USDC, right? The first thing I do is I swap that USDC to PayPal USD, send that to my bank account, and send that to my PayPal, my Venmo account, sell it for a zero fee, and then withdraw it to my bank account, wait the 3 days, and then it's in my bank account for free. I didn't pay anything. Besides the swap from USDC to PayPal USD. That's the only fee that I charge. My off ramp before was selling everything into Bitcoin, taking my Bitcoin to Cash App, selling the Bitcoin on Cash App, paying like 3% fee there, and then withdrawing it to my bank account. So not only am I going to trade everything into Bitcoin, send the Bitcoin to my Cash App account, sell the Bitcoin there, and then withdraw it to my bank. Now I can just, USDC into PayPal USD. It's almost free. It's very little fee for that swap. It's like Ethereum gas fee, and then sending it PayPal, everything free. And they, obviously Venmo has an instant option too. If I need it that day, I can pay 1%. But I'm not. I can just wait, right?
There's 0% from USDC to PYUSD.
It's Ethereum gas fee.
That's
and
it. Okay.
maybe a little bit of slippage, but not much.
All right. Ethereum gas fee.
So, and then you're obviously sending that to PayPal. I think, yeah. So let's just say, I get paid $1,000. I can potentially get like $996 into my bank account, all fees done. That's including the sending and everything.
It's gonna be an interesting feature, man, as more and more people on board here.
For sure. And it's going to get easier and cheaper too. There's going to be more and more ways to onboard and offboard. So, all right, move along though. Curve. $60 million yield basis vote is live. So yield comes from trading, lending fees, Bitcoin pools seeded with CRV USD credit. Revenues flow back 35 to 65% to VE Curve. So right now, if you want to say in the governance protocol on Curve Finance is one of the biggest yield generating DeFi protocols that ever existed. It was one of the first. It's absolutely huge. It's on Ethereum. So now right now they have this token called VE Curve, and that basically stake your curve, you get VE Curve receipt, and that allows you to participate in the governance. So having governance is awesome because you get to choose which assets have the most yield. So if you're like, hey, I want ETH and this token to have the most yield, you get to vote on that. You get to say the more curve tokens you have, the more voting power you have, right? But now there's a vote in process that wants to actually give yield to the VE Curve holders. And that yield is going to be something that they were giving to these pools assets, but now they're like, hey, I think it's better for us to kind of make sure that our token holders are actually giving more of the money that's actually being generated as fees through the platform. So now holding the VE Curve is going to give you 30 to 65% potential APY on the token.
Do you have to stake it or you just hold it?
Yes. So you the Curve token CRV, staking that gets you the liquid asset VE CRV. So you don't have to do anything with that token, but you get yield just for holding that token in your wallet.
Yeah, and this is, if we had a proper regulatory entity, 8 years ago or whatever, then this would have been done a long time ago. But this was pretty much the idea of making some of this stuff sustainable, right? It's because, when people trade tokens, as long as the demand is there, they're not complaining too much about the fee, right? That fee, instead of the companies taking that and enriching themselves more and more, this is kind of a decentralized approach too of like business, right? Now what you're doing is you're putting via smart contract, so it's not manual and all that stuff. You just automatically put all the fees distributed by percentage into the staking vaults. This is awesome. This is how people, if you get in early and you have, you manage your money well, you could really create some wealth this way. And I think there's going to be multiple companies that start to do this. They've already talked about revenue share in the past. It's been kind of a joke because we know the SEC. Now it's not really. So.
And this is exactly revenue share, right? But you're doing it in a decentralized manner because you do have to stake your tokens. You do get a receipt token, but at the same time, that receipt token is doing exactly what, when you buy T-Mobile stock, right? You get a dividend. This is doing the exact same thing. But over there, your dividend is, it's guaranteed, 2%. Over here, they're saying, hey, you can get 35% on a bad month, 65% on a good month, or a good year, right? A good year. So still pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Next thing here, Brera Holdings to rename as Solmate. So this was a stock trading on the stock exchange. This actually blew up yesterday. It went from a couple of hours to like 10x. So they're going to launch a $30 million Sol Treasury project in the UAE. So Brera Holdings is now going to be a digital asset treasury based out of the UAE, but it's going to have Solana, not Bitcoin, not Ethereum, but Solana. So we're seeing these DATs, man, really come out for Solana. We saw a few of them come for Bitcoin, and we saw that number double for ETH. Now we're seeing a triple for the Solana treasuries right now.
Yeah, I mean, Solana's in the spotlight now, right? So they're kind of taking over the attention from Ethereum, but I still think, Tom Lee's still going to be in the headlines. There's still going to be, Ethereum's going to be strong. Bitcoin's going to be strong. Now Solana is just going to be stronger than they have been. And we saw it happen with all three of them as their ETFs or at least like the treasury company side, Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, obviously. Now, once Sol's ETF kicks in, what does that mean? Do they go into hyperdrive? Because, they're starting to jump up. BNB too, right? Like, so there's a lot of these alts that I think can go into hyperdrive, which is crazy. But those are the type of liquidity events that we were talking about in the ordinal hive space yesterday. And I believe that to be true. I believe that the institutions are going to jumpstart this and then bring the confidence back to some of these VCs that look like a lot of them got wrecked in 2024. But now they have an opportunity to really believe in this liquidity that can prop up a lot of these blue chips. And then we'll see if there'll be some, further down the risk curve and we get this, risk on environment to where people are gambling a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. And it is going to be cool to see, but like to your point, we might enter price discovery for Solana. We might enter price discovery for BNB. Like these prices we're seeing today, I mean, these might just be, very, very small on like their trend. We might be here on a trend that goes here. Right? You might see these assets triple, quadruple in the next 6 months. Like honestly, like it might get really crazy if we enter a season of ETFs where they're just popping up nonstop. Because that's the thing too, is like Solana might have 6 ETFs. I mean, right now I think Bitcoin has like 7 or 8, right? And I think there's a couple other ones that are trying to get approved. So what happens if Solana has a Fidelity ETF, a BlackRock ETF, so on and so on, right? It could get really, really crazy with the amount of money that comes in to get something as undervalued. I think Solana is very undervalued. It should be number 3 with the usage and everything. It should be above XRP at this point. So it's one of those things where I think they're highly, I think they're risk off. Honestly, I think getting Solana at 240, that's pretty much free. But
I think those type of tokens, you take Bitcoin and Ethereum out of it right now. The Solana, BNBs, like ADAs, those type of tokens, when they go nuts, that's whenever like people on the radio start talking about crypto again. That's whenever mainstream news is like the crypto hysteria starts again, and then that's what brings retail back. So it seems like we could be heading into that, but we do need to see some of them go into hyperdrive. And I'm talking about hyperdrive, like Solana, getting to like 350, trying to knock on the door 400 or something crazy like that. Who knows, And so, yeah, I do feel like there's a setup for this. They don't even have ETFs yet. The lower ones are like, Solana, BNB and stuff. Yeah. They have the treasury companies, which by the way, treasury companies, they buy these tokens. They're committing a certain amount of money to buy these tokens, which will bring the price up. But also, if there's an ETF coinciding with them or going simultaneously, then that's going to be another catalyst to bring up these. That's why I think they could go into hyperdrive, because they're going into kind of like this aggressive price action without even having both.
100%. And, it's going to open the door for a lot of very rich investors to maybe like, hey, I don't want to buy NVIDIA anymore. It's too expensive. I don't want to buy Apple anymore. It's too expensive. Where can I put my money and it can grow? Well, hey, there's this new industry called crypto. I heard it was a scam. Yeah, it's 100% legitimate now. Like, you actually have rules and regulations, and the SEC has stepped in and actually doing good things. Oh, wow, maybe it's time to give this thing a second look. And then what do? They get into stuff like Solana. They get into stuff like that has been proven for the last 4 years and is generating fees, because a lot of these guys, right, they're going to want to get into stuff like Hyperliquid and Solana because they can see, oh, wow, there's revenue there.
Yeah, and especially if they're going hyper aggressive to the upside, what does that do for the chains and projects that are planning on launching a token soon? They see it and they're like, "Damn, let's do this. Let's drop this. Let's airdrop it." Right? So,
100%. All right, let's get into today's crypto fear and greed. So last week we were at a 50. Yesterday we're at 51, and follow the pattern. So I'm gonna say that's what I came for today. If last week we're at a 50, we got it right on the nose. 52. We're climbing, baby. We're getting back up there. I'm hoping we're. What's your prediction for Monday? I'm gonna say my prediction is 57. I think we'll be at 57 on Monday. Where do you think we are on Monday morning?
I think we get a pretty good end of the week. So I could see something like high 50s, low 60s, but
Awesome.
that's
low 60s. Man.
That's based off of kind of us getting some not so amazing, consistent positive price action since Wednesday. So,
yep. All right. Let's kind of get into the next thing here, which is Bitcoin price action, brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura, these guys are doing pretty amazing things. If you're bullish on Hyperliquid, if you're bullish on this new one, what was I can't remember. Aster. You got to be bullish on these guys over at Artura, because they're basically building another competitor to them. This is a perp exchange. This is on Botonics, which is a Bitcoin layer 2, which is going to be giving you the biggest Bitcoin airdrop ever. And then also Artura has their point system right now where you can get, I think it's $5,000 for first place. And then you can make some money for second, third, and fourth place on top of potentially getting an airdrop of the ARA token. That's just a rumor right now, but that's kind of what we're thinking is going to happen. So you guys right now can come over here and potentially start airdrop hunting for Artura. We're making some trades every single day. I'm down on all the trades. I was up on all the trades yesterday. Well, this account was up all the trades yesterday, and now it's down on all the trades yesterday. So it's pretty crazy right now, the swings. But this is for Tuesday. Obviously, Yagobi is the third one, Marion's the second one, and X is the Yagobi's the third, Marion's the first, and X is the second. So kind of seeing how this plays out, but we'll see. We'll see who gets liquidated. Hopefully no one gets liquidated and we can ride this thing to Valhalla, but we'll see. Check out Artura.finance.
Yeah, there's a lot of volatility today, and really kind of since Wednesday, really. It's just been up and down. 2 days since then anyways. But before we get to the Bitcoin price action, help us out on the YouTube side. Smash that like, sub to the channel, turn your notifications on, all the good stuff you got to do to help us out. We appreciate that. And then on the X side, share the space, hit that like as well. Same thing with Abstract, man. Our Abstract crew growing over there. Appreciate you guys. Same thing with Twitch, man. Twitch has been really growing for us. We appreciate all of you guys from Twitch. Pop a comment in there, Twitch. Same thing with Kick and Spotify. And don't forget Rumble. Let's jump into some price action here. Looking at Bitcoin on the hour chart does not look good, right? Thursday at 1 p.m. Central, we peaked here. The local top here at 118 looked decent. We were only 2,000 away from 120 again, only to ride it all the way back down, right? And so kind of been just swinging back and forth on the just up and down, right? That volatility. But today seems like it wants to continue down. It looks like that's where the trajectory has been headed, and looks like it kind of wants to continue that way. You can see right here the fast line on the MACD on the hour chart doesn't look like it's moved very much. I mean, it's not straight down, but it hasn't really started to curl up. And so I'm thinking that, there's some strength still in the sell pressure. You can see the stochastics too. Every time it tried to reach back above the oversold territory, it just got rejected and came back down. So let's take a look here at the support and resistance for the hour chart and see what is, what the battle is looking like here. Gonna squeeze in here a bit more. There we go. That is looking good there. Let's open this up. Okay, at the 115, 900, right under 116. Very, very low volume here, but the resistance is dominating in this area below and above. It really doesn't go back to the support side until you get all the way up to, goodness, yeah, it doesn't the entire way up. There's some more balanced areas, but resistance is dominating all above this. And then you look below, I guess 2 levels below at the 115, 730, support kicks in here. That's one spot. Yeah, literally there's only one price level area, and you're going back from data that goes back to 5 a.m. Central, only one price level where support is winning the battle against resistance here. Not much volume down here. So if it gets pretty heavy in terms of the sell down, man, we could see further down below this. I don't want to say it, but that is the truth. And you got to give the truth to the people, right? So that's what I'm seeing. Probably expecting some further down, maybe testing the 115,500 area. If we get below 115,500, we could see a free fall. You could see down here, it's not showing the red or green, but it shows a cumulative in that area, and it's still being dominated by the resistance down below. So not looking too good for Bitcoin for the next 2, 4, 6 hours, right? The 4 hour just really kind of started not long ago for the sell pressure. So, I do believe the 1 hour is going to, continually push the 4 hour down here. But again, it is volatile. Like Shizzy said earlier, there is that triple witching. So maybe it stops in its tracks after a couple hours because it wants to go the other direction to liquidate other people. But from what I'm seeing with the momentum indicators is, at least for the near term, like the next 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours, I imagine it's going to continually bleed out. Looking at the daily chart is showing a little bit of life still in the buy pressure, but if that 4 hour chart does give us, a sell down, we get down to 115,500, maybe the low 115s. This could start to close up. And then Saturday, I could see us having some sell pressure, and then we'll see what happens for Sunday. Maybe we don't actually go into a full sell pressure on the daily chart, but it does seem like it, wants to close down a little bit here. And then Sunday could reopen that. We'll see what happens. Daily charts, obviously, every candle's a day. So we'll see how the rest of this weekend kind of plays out heading into Sunday. Sunday is going to be an important day, closes the week and gives us a fresh start, either way, up or down for next week. So that is what Bitcoin looks like. On Ethereum, it's going to be very similar, right? Ethereum's just really been following Bitcoin lately. This is the daily chart. Let me go to the hour. The hour chart looks like we are back in sell pressure. So very similar to what Bitcoin is showing. It's actually stronger. It looks like stronger in the sell pressure. It looks like it wants to go further down. You can see the blue line's actually pointing more towards straight down than the Bitcoin chart was. So yeah, basically kind of tailing Bitcoin here with a little bit of a more aggressiveness to the downside for Ethereum. 4 hour just started. Same kind of synopsis there. Daily, just started to the downside. So we got to turn this around. This is actually you're actually seeing a red momentum candle here on the MACD. It's not big, but it started. With Bitcoin, it hasn't started yet. It still has some life on the buy side. So we'll see what happens there. Bitcoin, Ethereum, not looking too great, but I'm not freaked out. 44.75. Let's say it gets down to 4,400. Look, we've kind of danced around this 44 to 48 the past 3-4 weeks, right? So I do expect, heading into October to be decent. End of month, it's kind of not my favorite time. It's kind of like heading into a Saturday for me, but there's good news, right? The good news is we have a rate cut. We already started the rate cut cycle, and you're hearing about these treasury companies and these ETFs getting, so what do the markets do? They look forward. right? So I think they're going to be anticipating a lot of ETF approvals and stuff like that. So ignore the noise. I posted that on my X account. Ignore the noise. We've been through this before. We'll get through it again. If you're looking at the crypto bubbles, pretty red. We're looking at probably a 95 to 5% ratio in terms of coins being down to up. You can see on average they're pretty intense. You're looking at between 5 and 10% on average that I'm seeing for the major ones like Pengu 9%, Hex 9%, Bonk 6.3, Meme Core, which has been thriving ever since it launched, is down 13%. Some that are sticking out right now, Aster, no surprise there, up 2.2% there. That is the new purpose and leverage platform on BNB. You got Near Protocol up 4.8%, AVAX up 2.2%, WLFI is up. Some people are probably happy about that. And then you got Immutable X. I know they had an update with mobile gaming. They're up 4%. They were up big yesterday too. So Solana down 4.3%. Let's take a look at the top 200 real quick. Top 200, Linea's up 21.8%. Didn't you say something about them? Were they in the news for something?
They just dropped. They just did an airdrop the other day, and they got beaten down pretty bad though. And now they're kind of just grinding.
Makes sense. Exactly, makes sense. And if they took huge hits, then it's probably just kind of that reversal happening a little bit. You got FTT up, the FTX token up 4.8%.
I found out why.
Why?
So SBF's account, his X account, just started following people. He followed me last time he did this, but he just comes on. It just comes online and just follows like 1,000 people, and then goes away. And every time it does that, the token flies up. So it's almost like they go long, use his account, follow 1,000 people, because people are posting, "Hey, SBF just followed me. What the hell's going on?" And that actually sends a ricochet to what's going on, and that is why the FTT is token. No other reason except his account was following people.
Is he supposed to be getting out soon?
No, he has life. I think
life.
20 to 30.
Oh my god.
Well, his life. I think.
Yeah. All right. In the top 300,
he pissed off a lot of really rich people.
Yeah. True. You see Dog pulling back 6.4%, EHEX pulling back 16, Zora pulling back 9. So I mean, it's a pullback day, right? The past 2 days have been very, very green for the alt market, so I'm not too shocked.
Look at Bard. So Bard actually just launched yesterday, and it's that Lombard. It got Bitcoin DeFi products, and it got really hammered because Binance airdropped it to a lot of the alpha members, and it got hammered yesterday. But still sitting at 200 million market cap, pretty big for a DeFi project on Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's got to be governance token because they have the they have the LBTC, which they have their synthetic BTC is on Sonic. It's on, I want to say like Base and Arbitrum.
It's on Core. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it's on Base. You're 100%. It's on Base as well. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just their version of it, and you can get crazy yield on it as well. The yield was paid in the Bard token, so we'll see. But a lot of airdrop happened yesterday. So I mean, dude, it's feeling like airdrop season, and some of these are so quiet, right? Like we didn't even hear about the Bard airdrop until I started looking into Crypto Panic, and then now I'm seeing all the airdrops and stuff like that. So, but before, I mean, I didn't really see any of that stuff. But
yeah,
let's kind of get into the roll call here on this channel. We do a thing called first is first. We take that first comment of each day and put it on a spreadsheet, and that comment of the day is my guy ASAP Benji. Let me share my screen here. You have your 15th win of the year. Congratulations to you, man. You've been just grinding out once a week. You get on there, which is awesome. Appreciate you, Benji. I think you won last Friday. Yeah, you won last Friday, too. You're just a Friday warrior, man. Congratulations to you, my friend. Absolutely awesome. All right, we'll get into the rest of the comments here. Rita TV says TK. Shout out to you guys, man. Oh, yeah, announcement with the TK stuff. So we stopped doing the giveaways because there hasn't been enough participation. So what we're going to do, I'm thinking about potentially next week, just taking all the names each day and putting them on the wheel. So every day you come in, we'll just add you to the wheel of the week. So if you
do it at the end of the week,
5 days, you get 5 entries. And then on a Friday, we just spin it. We give away like 500. We give away like 1 million TK tokens or something. We give like 5 winners or something like that. So it's just I just don't like doing the wheel if we get like 8 or 9 people who put TK, right? Yeah. So it's like this might be the better way to do it. So starting Monday, every day you come in, you put a TK, I'll put you on the wheel, and you can get up to 5 entries on the wheel, and that's what we'll do. So every Friday we'll do a wheel spin and give away a million TK a week. So
sounds good.
all right, ASAP Benji, you were number 1. Tim Baker's here. Shout out to Tim Baker, just behind ASAP Benji for the win. Bitcoin is Truth is Here's a mass token. Yeah, we covered that already. Abstract says love airdrops. Let's go. Stimmy time. Chips and Dip is here. Vader time, my guy. Spin Drift, Satoshi Nakamoto, Lackey Lukey, GM, Benji. Oh, congrats, Benji. Joko says, are you guys planning to do more wheel spins for TK in the future? I become addicted to winning. Yes, so we'll be doing it once a week, every Friday, but every entry that you come in, you put TK in the chat. I'm not even going to I'm just going to make sure that you're on the wheel. I'm going to keep putting you on the wheel each week. You'll get the 5 entries, and then you can win. Shout out to Mir. Good morning, all. My guy, Chief Axel is here. Shout out to my friend Mark from Launch Punks. Been a while, Mark. Appreciate you, my friend. You know it's starting to get bullish when Mark's back. Mark can smell a bull run a mile away. Shout out to you, my friend. Mike Dupont is here. Shout out to Mike Dupont. Mice Elf is here. Crypto Pay says, on which chains will the mask token be available? Ethereum mainnet or multi-chain? I'm hearing Ethereum. So Consensys is an Ethereum company. So I'm guessing it's going to be an ERC20, but I'm sure the bridge is going to be open to take it anywhere.
Right? Why does it matter what Consensys is?
Well, they were. So Joe Lubin is one of the founders of Ethereum, and one of the 13 founders. And Consensys was always to support Ethereum. It was always like that. Like it's like a layer of building. That's why they created MetaMask. They were the first wallet.
Oh,
so they've always been supporting
with them. Okay.
Yeah, they've always been supporting Ethereum, right? So that's kind of why. And Consensys is MetaMask. They're the creators of MetaMask.
Plus, I mean, people will be able to bridge that token to all the layer 2s after, anyways.
No problem. 100%. Glasshopper, cheers to Glasshopper. He said, "What's the cheapest strategy to farm MM?" Yeah, cheapest strategy would be the bridge. So right now you can bridge for pennies on the dollar, right? It's barely anything. If I was you and you're just trying to farm the airdrop, just bridge to Abstract, bridge to Polygon Matic, bridge to Arbitrum, bridge to Optimism, and just keep bridging. You can bridge a few bucks, right? It doesn't have to be a lot, but I think that's how. And that's the thing too. It's like we don't know if it's volume is going to get the biggest airdrop or transactions. I know on something like Arbitrum, it was transactions, but something like Optimism, it was volume, right? So you just don't know. What they're gonna do. It might be a mixture of both. It might be a mixture of volume and transactions. So that's up to you of how much you want to keep bridging around. But I think the bridge and the hyperliquid, perps could be a way too. If you're gonna do perps, do it through MetaMask. Potentially, that could be another way to farm it as well. Mark says, "Smash that like." Yes, guys, please smash that like. Not enough likes today. Please smash that like for us. Patty Poo, the Bitcoin machine himself. Shout out to you, my friend. He said, "Sorry, boys. Next couple of days we enter bear moon phase." So he's been right. Has he been right? I don't remember. Last time he talked about the bear moon and stuff. I remember. Was it bullish that day?
Yeah, he did. His last one was bull moon.
Bull moon. Yeah. I guess we did get bullish right after that.
A little bit. It's nothing has been super aggressive the past month, I would say. To the upside really. So. Or downside.
Prime Mime says, "You guys think crypto will allow fractional banking line in like the fiat industry does? Is that what we're seeing with ETFs and paper Bitcoin?"
So fractional banking is kind of like how they're able to use your money to lend out, right? So if you get $10 in the bank, then they'll keep $1 for sure and then lend $9 out. But it works as a system because there's so much that capital to make that happen long time ago when they first started, and then like the customer and user base is so large that they can continue that, right? I don't know if like how they're doing that from the ETF side. I do know that like they have paper Bitcoin and all this stuff, but the in-kind redemption. So I was going to ask you your opinion on this, but like I feel like it's kind of like this like facade. It's like a smoke and mirrors. It's kind of like, okay, let's put in-kind redemption in there so people will just like have more trust and all this stuff. But behind the scenes, they don't I mean, is there a audit that Coinbase and these other managers are doing to confirm that they're 1-to-1? I don't think so.
Yeah, well, it's something it's a law here now. It's proof of reserves. So you have to prove that you have all the reserves.
I bet you it's a percentage. I bet you it's a percentage.
Possibly.
But at the end of the day, look, I know a lot of people crap on the legacy financial system because that's what I call it now. I mean, they were able to create these systems that worked. You know what I mean? And but at the end of the day, myself is probably like hates me at this point because I talk about that a lot. But it is what it is. They're here. Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna be like, okay, no, get out of here. We only like Bitcoin. You know what I mean? They're here. They're gonna bring liquidity, and they're gonna create products that probably work in a fractional banking type environment. I mean, let's just be honest with it. But if you ever need to do an in-kind redemption, they will always make sure you can do that. And that's how banks have always been. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, you have someone that says, like, I tried to withdraw like $20,000 from my account, and they said that they didn't have enough cash at this one, and I had to go to another one. Well, you could have went to the other location and got it, you know. So that's the whole system and how it works.
Well, the in-kind redemption, it's also put in place for there's some gold ETFs that don't have in-kind redemption. You can't borrow against them, but the ones that do have in-kind redemption, you can borrow against. So I think that's why they want them to be in-kind redemption, so you can borrow against your shares, in the sense of, let's just say you have Bitcoin and you need to take a loan against it or something like that. That ETF needs to have in-kind redemption for you to be able to take that loan against it. Otherwise,
or staking. If they do a staking on your, aren't they going to try to do a Ethereum ETF staking? So I know that like
same thing.
You won't be able to necessarily redeem it, or like, because they're going to stake it on your behalf. But I imagine there has to be some sort of process that, you know, they're going to have to take Ethereum and stake on your behalf, right? So
yeah. Well, the problem with that is it's 45 days to get your Ethereum out of the staking. So they got to make sure that they don't stake all their Ethereum in the in-kind redemptions. I think that the ones that are staking, they won't be in-kind redemptions, because if you know 60% of the people want to get their ETH out, they can't, right? Because there's no way they're holding 60% in liquid ETH, right? So I think the in-kind redemptions won't be for the staking ones. It'll be for the non-staking ones.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you just can't get your ETH out unless you're okay with waiting 45 days and stuff like that. So moving along though, Hydro Sapien is here, Mats is here. Shout out to Mats. Buenos Ideas says, roll call, guys. Exiting the weekend ahead. Yes, sir, 100%. But Buenos Ideas has been somebody who's been here every single day lately, man. Say to Hydro Sapien and Bro to the Moon. You're new here. Appreciate you, my friend. Glass Hopper is here. Shout out to you, my friend. And Matt's my guy. Appreciate every single one of you guys, man. And just because we're not doing the TK giveaways, man, make sure you guys are still entering the chat every day. Arita TV says banks need to show every 2 weeks, or they have like 10% reserves, but it's just what's that?
Ceremonial. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, makes sense that, you know, that they had 10%. That's horrible though, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard any of like my buddies or anybody, business owners that I know that have had to withdraw large amounts of money that never haven't been able to do it. So I mean, the system works. It might not be, perfect for a huge like world war crash or something like that, but it's lasted this long, right? So, but you'll have the option. Because I think some people will try to be more clear on, hey, look, we back exactly 1-to-1, and they might not be associated with like an institution or something, and it's just they want to compete and give more confidence. I don't know what the future is going to be like with that, but I just know that everybody's participating in our space. I'll tell you that's the future.
It's easy for an exchange to be 1-to-1 because they got to have 50. They got to have a shit ton in to be able to swap, right? They got to have a whole bunch of liquid assets to be able to. So it's for them, it's easy to say, yeah, we're back to on 1-to-1, because you have to be, because you need enough. If somebody wants to come in and buy $100 million of XRP, you got to have that available for them to come in and buy it, right? So it's like,
yeah. Stan has a good question. He says, in the channel's opinion, is Aster legit or a hyperliquid Temu? Thanks. Hyperliquid Temu.
like I said yesterday, you had CZ come out and he is only ever tweeted 3 tickers: Bitcoin, BNB, and Aster. If this is a Binance backed product, what it is, Binance Labs, which is now YZi Labs, this is their leading investor, and they see that on chain leverage is the way to go. So I think that this is not only a hyperliquid fork, I guess you would say, but this is Binance's hyperliquid fork. That changes the game.
Yeah, I mean, is Binance Temu? They're considered by a lot of people the largest centralized exchange. If you are biased to the West, then you would, definitely say they're at least number 2. And so I don't think they're going to put out a Temu product. But
what
I
is
think
Temu?
it's basically saying like a knockoff,
Okay.
like a cheap version of it. No, I mean, like they have a lot of money. They have a lot of ability to make, look, they started off with synthetic derivatives. That's something that Hyperliquid doesn't have, but Hyperliquid has the mind share. That is hard. They dominate mind share, right? You got everybody talking about Hyperliquid, all the large accounts on crypto Twitter. Now they have DATs that are forming to buy Hyperliquid, which is not even a chain token yet. I mean, they kind of have their own, whatever you want to call that. By the way, do you think it becomes like this robust ecosystem that people use a lot, or do you think it's always going to be just that, main perps and leverage product?
Yeah, I think you're going to see. So right now, right, that's their number 1 product. That's bringing people there. But now that you have your money there, right, why wouldn't you take a loan there? Like,
Well,
why would you bridge it out?
Didn't that guy that got rid of a lot of the Bitcoin to Ethereum, didn't he use like a spot DEX or something?
Yep.
Or
They
was
have
it
spot DEX now too?
Was it the Hyperliquid product that he used, or was that a product?
No. So
Okay.
someone forked Uniswap v3 and created a DEX over there. So you could go to that site, connect your Hyperliquid account, and then that'll allow you to buy and sell without actually leaving. So you can. So if you go to Hyperliquid, they don't have a lot of assets in spot, right? So I don't think a normal person can add liquidity pools, but if you fork Uniswap, you can go over to that, and then you can get in and out assets there as long as they have the liquidity. And apparently they had a ton of Bitcoin liquidity there, and this guy came and he took as much as he possibly could. And there's rumors that he deposited more in Hyperliquid that's just sitting there, and there's a certain price that I think he wants to get out of it again. But he went and he bought ETH with it, right? So he didn't just swap for stablecoin, he swapped for Ethereum.
Yeah, I remember that. He swapped for Ethereum, but I'm interested to kind of learn about that ecosystem and see it's permissionless, like open. It's permissionless building, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. But like the only problem is so I've never used Hyperliquid. So when you go to Hyperliquid, you connect your wallet, right? Do you see? Are you on the Hyperliquid chain, like, or do you have an account with deposit? So are you seeing your balances in the Arbitrum wallet though?
Yeah. So how it works? Let's say you have $1,000 in USDC Arbitrum. You connect to the Hyperliquid website, then you click deposit, and then
where are you depositing that money to? Do you own that wallet with keys or not?
So I mean, it's almost no. It's like a Hyperliquid, like almost, bro. Honestly, it's just like a fast centralized exchange deposit experience. You know, like it's instant. I mean, it's instant for the deposit. The withdrawal takes about, I would say, it takes between 5 and 10 minutes.
Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So so that's my problem now. So are you just using Arbitrum then, DeFi, or are you using actual Hyperliquid? Because if you have to like what happens if I have, let's just say $1 million on Hyperliquid, can I connect that account to these swaps? Maybe that's how they're doing it
within their ecosystem. I think it's kind of like maybe like Odin or like what Track was doing, maybe.
Yeah.
Except for it's a web browser interface, right? So, but I've never used any other application within the Hyperliquid ecosystem, and that's what I was like confused about, because we were hearing about these projects, and I've seen them on crypto Twitter, saying they have an account, they're building this application within the Hyperliquid ecosystem. They're calling it what are they calling it? A app chain type situation.
Would you
But
call abstract an app chain? Or no?
no,
I'm just trying to get an
It's a-
idea of what an app chain would be.
I know. That's what like we haven't really experienced
Yeah.
many of these things except for. So I think Zeus is kind of trying to be that maybe for Solana.
I
I think
got you.
Zeus is trying to be that. But yeah, it's different than abstract. Abstract, you connect the abstract RPC to your. You can do it manually with your MetaMask wallet, or you can connect with Privy, and it will automatically do it for you because it has it in their dashboard, right? So
Gotcha.
that's why there's this argument, kind of like, okay, are they decentralized for real? What is this?
Yeah, 100%. My last comment here is from O Zorio. He says Harmony and 1inch. So 1inch I know is a aggregator for Ethereum. Harmony One I think is a blockchain. So I'm not really sure what your
I
is
guess
that your two biggest investments.
two coins he's into, I guess.
Gotcha. All right, that wraps up roll call. Appreciate every single one of you guys who makes roll call each and every day. Arita does have a couple comments here. He said, in reality, banks need reserves to do interbank check, clearing, tax payments, and withdrawals. Banks also always have access to Fed overdraft. Yeah, so they have bank to bank. They can always borrow money for whatever the interest rate is, for sure. All right, let's jump into some of the other stuff we still have to go over. So YZi Labs, we just talked about them. They're the Aster backing. They doubled down on Ethena Labs. So YZi announced it would back Ethena Labs with additional ENA positions. The protocol remains highly successful during the ETH bull market, expanding supply of USDE to over 14 billion. So what is YZi doing here? The first thing that popped in my head is maybe you know how you have USDH now for Hyperliquid. Do they want to get Ethena to be the stable coin on
For Aster?
Yeah,
Possibly, because Ethena was courting Hyperliquid in the very beginning, and they dropped out once they realized that they didn't have a realistic shot. So maybe that's what it is. But doesn't Binance have a pretty strong relationship with USD1?
yeah, that's kind of what I'm hearing too. But maybe they want to maybe going to go. I mean, USD1 doesn't have the volume that Ethena has, right?
Yeah.
Ethena is decentralized as well.
Yeah, and some sort of partnership here with the revenue split, maybe with yield. I don't know.
Potentially, yeah. Binance US now supports native abstract deposits and withdrawals. Seamless on and off, no bridging needed. One step closer to abstract as a dormant consumer chain. So I think Coinbase also has, you can withdraw abstract ETH, right? But now Binance officially, you can withdraw Binance ETH abstract ETH right to the abstract chain now. So this is pretty big for abstract, really kind of getting being able to kind of come off Binance US on to abstract chain.
Deposit and withdrawals though. So deposits like native, I wonder what would you deposit there though? Would it have to be so it has to be something that's listed on Binance?
Yeah, so USDC, USDT, Ethereum, right? All the normal stuff.
So will there be a wallet connect on Binance.us? Or how would you get it?
Let's just say you have Bitcoin, right? You send your Bitcoin to Binance US. You can now convert that to Ethereum and withdraw that to abstract directly instead of bridging it.
Okay, so whenever you go to USDC and it has all these networks, basically you're going to see an abstract network there. Okay, I was overthinking that big time.
yeah. No, I got where you're coming from right away. So it's basically like another way to on and off ramp. And it's something that I do. Instead of bridging, I'll just send it to MEXC and then withdraw it as base ETH, right? The same ETH. I'll deposit ETH there. It's free to deposit and it's free to withdraw. So I'll just deposit, Arbitrum ETH and I'll withdraw it as, base ETH or, Ethereum ETH, right? Depending on what I'm trying to do. So that's always been something that I like to do, but it's really cool now that Binance, because MEXC doesn't have abstract yet, so it is kind of cool seeing the bigger players in the space adopt this. So we definitely want abstract to do well because we're farming that airdrop every day as we're going live on abstract. Shout out the abstract viewers over there as well. So,
yep.
Canadian police seize $40 million US, US versions, but it's $56 million in the Canadian dollar in crypto. and shut down the TradeOgre exchange. Alleged money laundering hub, no registration, no KYC, largest crypto bust in Canadian history. So this is the stuff that makes me worried about stuff like MEXC, that's like Super X and like the other ones, right? Because the ones with no KYC, they can just say, hey, you're money laundering because you have no KYC, and they can come in and they can take all the funds on the exchange. This is why another reason why Hyperliquid and these other ones are such, so amazing, because there is, the Canadian government can't go to Hyperliquid and say, we're going to seize your product, because they're going to say it's all on smart contracts. Good luck. Right. So this is one of those things where we need to kind of get away from these exchanges, because these governments can just come in and just rip them apart. And people are coming online and saying, hey, there was no money laundering going here. You cannot prove that. And all they have to say, well, there's no KYC. So these no KYC exchanges, in my opinion, are going to be going away. But we're going to have, on-chain benefits. That's why we need stuff like Hyperliquid, and we need stuff like Apster or Aster.
Yeah, I mean, MEXC could technically just follow the same blueprint as BNB. I mean, they're not as huge, right? So they can just keep their centralized exchange, just just go along with the laws and the rules, KYC, all that stuff, but then create like their version of Hyperliquid.
Yep.
And probably is what's going to happen, in my opinion, right? I mean, so this Canadian police was, I'm sure this exchange was in Canada, so it'd be harder to also go after a KuCoin, somebody that's like headquartered in Hong Kong or another, but you could definitely cause stress and problems, sending notices and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think we're going to hear too much about this kind of stuff, because there is a blueprint and a playbook of how you can kind of do both now.
Go around it. Yeah, 100%. Michael Saylor says the first country to issue its own currency to buy Bitcoin wins. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine, like, I don't know, Brazil, because I know they have their own currency. I think it's a Brazilian peso or something. They just come out and they print, $400 billion and just buy Bitcoin with it. Right. I mean, and they just print it right from the printer. Nothing, no bonds, nothing, just print it and just buy Bitcoin. But if you do that, you give up. Your currency will pretty much crash hard. But Saylor's saying that's how you win. Can you see a country destroying their own currency? I mean, think about how many lives will get effed if they do this, right? Because everything in your bank.
What if you're using
a millionaire?
But what if you're using the Bitcoin as reserve, right? And like the Bitcoin is backing your fiat now. And yes, I think initially you're going to be, your fiat's going to take a hit, but if it is, a asset that we all believe that's going to, consistently just go up over time, then I think you win, because but obviously you can't be crazy and print $1 trillion. You know what I mean? If you print $1 trillion, I mean, you could, but it's that's obviously going to be, everybody's going to notice, and they're going to say, well, okay, now you just inflated your fiat, and this is what it's worth now. So it's not going to be worth $1 trillion, right? It's going to be worth less. But if you did it strategically, right, and you weren't
over
dumb
time,
and you just, let's say you printed a little bit more than what you normally do on schedule or whatever, and you use that. I don't know what that would even look like. Someone's probably listening in and being like, that's a horrible idea. And hey, look, I'm not going to say it's not. I'm just saying that, if you can buy Bitcoin to kind of back your country and it go up over the next 10 years, it could go up tremendously or aggressively. So it's not like, it is a risk. You are risking your country's fiat, but at the same time, Michael Saylor risked his entire company big time in 2020.
Yeah.
If that didn't work out, he'd MicroStrategy be dead. Yeah,
I mean, 100%. Bitcoin's not sitting at over 100,000 for sure. But so the problem is printing your own currency is if I'm sitting with $1 million in your currency, and I'm letting you, and I hear about this, I'm gonna run the Forex and immediately try to convert this to the US dollar to kind of preserve my value, right? And that is kind of where it starts and ends, right? With people getting out of that currency and getting into a safer one, right? Whether that is, maybe they just get Bitcoin themselves, right? So we'll see. And the final thing here WLFI will use protocol-owned liquidity fees to buy back and burn the WLFI token. The flywheel effect. We've seen this all cycle at this point. Hyperliquid, pump, and now WLFI kind of using that as a strategy now as well. What do you think about WLFI now jumping into the flywheel game?
You just take the name of the company and you just replace it with the next one. I mean, but it is something that I think is going to be a big part of people investing in specific, assets, right? Like, because before it was all just talk. They could imagine if let's say 2022. You're like, hey, look, we're building this robust company in Web3. There's so much utility to it, and we're going to do buybacks with the fees. Project doesn't go too well the next 6 months, and the team's like, hey, like, we can't use all of our fees for they could just literally say, well, we did further research, and it's illegal that we don't want to get a Wells notice from the SEC, so we have to change the plan. They can't really do that anymore. You know what I mean? Or at least, now people are actually trying to execute on using fees to buy back and give back to the community, whether that's buying up the token or whatnot. So I think now it's going to be taken more seriously by the teams and the communities.
100%. But this is just the swapping fee, right? If you swap on Solana, it's that. It's if you swap on, Ethereum, it'll be that, right? It isn't like a portion of their actual revenue. This is just the on-chain part of it.
Yeah, I mean, but still, it's like it's more of the concept and mechanism. That it's a simple mechanism and concept, but now we're gonna see who actually has success with it. Because if you do have a lot of success with it and you're generating lots of revenue, the early investors are gonna make out.
Oh, 100%. The early investors always make out the best, right? In every situation. So let's kind of jump into our next segment. And every Friday, we're lucky enough to have the great Jake Gallen on from Emblem Vault, from Migrate Fund, and Agent Hustle. Agent Hustle is their AI LMM that will actually help you guys do trades. They will actually he can actually help you say, you can go to him and say, hey, buy pump at this price and sell it at this price, and he will execute that for you. It is absolutely awesome, and it is going to be the new way of trading. Down the line, there will be no going to your web extension, doing that. You're going to do everything through one of these models like Agent Hustle. It'll be ease of use. Everyone likes when things get easier, and the way things are now, it is just not easy for normies to come in. Normies use ChatGPT every single day, so they'll be very comfortable with stuff like Agent Hustle. But not only that, they're going to be doing their migrating very, very soon. They're going to be helping you migrate from pool to pool. Let's just say you did a pump token and you want to move that pump token to Bonk. They can help you with that. Let's just say you did a Bonk token and you want to move that token to pump because you want to stream there. You would now be able to do that all with migrate.fund. So without further ado, let's bring in the man himself. Bring in Jake. Jake, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thanks so much for being here, sir.
Happy Friday, guys. How are we feeling today?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. How are you?
Tired, for sure. I think, as I joked yesterday on our show, that yesterday was the first time I slept over 5 hours in like a week. But
oh man,
we're doing well now. It's the migrate.fund will be the, I guess, maybe second or third kind of major product launch that we've done while I've been at Emblem for 3 years. We've launched probably 15 different products, but getting something from testnet to mainnet while kind of coordinating audits, while also managing your own development team, while also managing everyone's expectations and teams and competitors, right? It's just like it's a kind of a never-ending puzzle that you kind of have to continue to compete with, as well as, right, we still have like the keys transition to hustle. So there's just like a lot going on, but that's how we want to be. And it's a good problem to have that 99% of companies in this industry do not. And so, yeah, I'm just humbled to be here.
Yeah, man. Break us down your week if you don't mind. Like what's going on kind of behind the scenes? What are you guys working on that's kind of taking a lot of your time?
Yeah, so Migrate Fund is definitely a lot of the attention. It's been kind of an interesting balancing act between a 20-day audit definitely the longest audit that I've ever been a part of. But they also said that this is one of the most comprehensive Solana contracts or programs that they've ever done. And they're one of a few teams that do auditing for the Solana Foundation when Solana pushes new stuff to mainnet. So, that's good signs. No big issues or anything like that. It's just a long process. That's still going to probably take another week or two to get the final results. But knowing that it's actually now essentially completed as of Tuesday, where they submitted basically the final report that then we go and improve on anything that we hadn't already done. They've been like telling us any issues along the way. So there's still only like 1 or 2 things that have to be finalized and then pushed to them. And then I think they have a 1 to 2 week process where then it takes them to publicize the information. So our goal is to have it live when Migrate Fund goes live next Thursday. But we'll see. It's kind of a waiting game there. So managing our own development team, getting things from testnet to mainnet took many days to do. There's a lot of kind of gotchas when making a transition from testnet to mainnet, including like RPC nodes, activities, right? Different configurations. And it's been a learning experience from our side as well. And then onboarding teams. We started onboarding teams to the platform as of Wednesday. So all the posts that come from the Migrate Fund Twitter account, those are all confirmed teams. And we've had teams drop out. We've had teams ask for different types of changes, which we kind of knew was coming. But it just really reinforces our moat of Migrate Fund V2, because we did see some competitors, or at least one competitor, pop up recently, which maybe we'll talk about, but is essentially what we did for Agent Hustle. So it's a good time, and just getting a lot more inquiries about migrations within the last week or so for migrating to all kinds of different platforms, not just kind of Bonk Fund and Radium, but it seems like the requests kind of move depending on the Launchpad wars and depending on where the fees are going, where the new tools are. And it's been an interesting experience to be at the center of all of it, but there's no other place that we'd rather be.
Yeah, so I was listening in a little bit on, one of the projects that was being onboarded, and it seems like you guys are, getting a good amount of interaction with the teams kind of publicly too, right? Because you guys are having them on the show and their communities, it seems like, as well. How do you feel about, that in terms of getting them, I guess, on the show and interacting with them and the public can hear them? Do you feel like that's been pretty smooth?
Yeah. Adam and I started the Emblem show almost 3 years ago now at this point. And the whole idea was that Emblem is an interoperability protocol. And so when we expand to new ecosystems and new chains, we have to find a way to enter, because as you guys are very aware, as you talk with teams from all different chains, there's different cultures that are presented. Some of them are a little bit more tribalistic. Some of them are territorial. Some of them are a lot more open. And so as we moved into Solana, right, we're the kind of new kids on the block. We've been building on Bitcoin for almost 10 years, building on Ethereum for 5 years, but new to Solana. And so we have to kind of, play their game, essentially. Well, first figure out what the game actually is that's being played, and then be able to communicate with them. So having them on the show first allows us to network with the teams, which is something we've been doing for a while, but then also interacting with their community and showing that, we're here, we're very serious players. We have all intentions to compete among the very best, and that we have a long history of experience that can show that we have some sort of understanding of what we're doing. And the community support of all the migration teams has been awesome, right? You pick up their follows, I get a few of them who then transition to look into the ecosystem, right? They want to know what Emblem Vault is, they want to know what Agent Hustle is, they want to know what the token is, and they just want to know more. And that's always been kind of our goal, is with every team that you talk with, you could pick up 1 or 2 or 3, 5, 10 people from their community who then become hustlers or Emblem Vaulters in previous sense. And so it's gone very well. And with the onboarding calls themselves, right? We're taking very good care of these teams. Like one of our virtues of the company is not just not just experts in infrastructure and technology, but also top-notch customer service. Maybe that just comes from my roots and Chris's roots of growing up and working on the Las Vegas Strip for 10 years, right? And working in nightclubs and day clubs and knowing how to interact with high-value customers or the ultra kind of wealthy, as well as, you know, the people who are just beginning entrepreneurs. And so we're onboarding every team one by one on these calls. And to set up the migration itself literally takes 30 seconds to do. But all of these onboarding calls are taking 30 minutes to an hour because these teams want to talk with you. They want to ask questions and they just want to become your friend, right? Because what a migration is a business relocation. And when somebody buys a house for the first time, and they're first time home buyers, it's one of the biggest decisions that they will ever make. And what we're learning with migrations is this is exactly the same philosophy that when you move your token to a new ecosystem, it's essentially like buying a new house or setting up a new business. And so whether they want to have questions about the technology itself, they just want to become more familiar with you. It kind of all is a variety. And so, you know, having that relationship with the teams is very important. And I think it's something that actually is very remiss in this industry is playing the ground game and networking in an industry that's pseudo anonymous, 90% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. My background was digital marketing, but I got to the point to where I was, a project manager for a ton of accounts, right? And when you get a new account, especially marketing, I was in the medical industry, a lot of plastic surgeons and stuff. They want that white glove treatment. It makes such a big difference. And the one thing you hit on that I like, it just constantly comes into my mind is how our industry just lacks that so much. And so like when me and Shizzy like get a new partner or something, that's a big part of, that's why we want to meet with our partners constantly. So I love that you guys have this approach. And I think our industry will get more and more like that as, institution and large money comes over, because it's going to be some of the old ways of doing business, face-to-face meetings and stuff like that. So super excited for you guys on that.
Yeah, it's something that I value. I know the team does as well. It's a lot more effort and a lot more work, but it plays a lot more towards accruing value to the community and eventually the token, right? Because if people feel like they're being heard and taken care of, then obviously they're going to stick around and hold. And on Solana, the average hold time is less than a minute. And for Hustle, we need to completely change that because it's a long-term project, right? And so they need to know that you're kind of putting in the effort and that they're being heard. And so kind of where everything is now is we're spending another 3, 4, or 5 days onboarding all these teams, and the migrations will go live September 25th, so next Thursday. And the users will come to the platform and migrate their tokens. It seems like the time lengths between most of the teams are either between 7 days and 14 days from what I've seen. Most seem to be doing 7 days, at least so far. And, we'll be going on the Bonk Fund show, I think in like 2 weeks to coordinate with them. We have a few more teams who are coming on to our show. When the product launches next Thursday, we have our own Emblem morning show. So we'll be able to kind of talk people through. But I think the experience is going to be really well. And it'll actually show why Migrate Fund is different from the recent Migrate tool that we've seen Believe app launch, but also other competitors who want to launch their migration tools. And I did put a post out the other day, and maybe we'll dive into this, of native migration tools versus third-party platform migration tools like ourselves, and the differences in the conversations that we're having with major teams, with major protocols versus teams, and why being a neutral third party for migrations is the more favorable approach.
Yeah, 100%. And like you guys did this yourselves, right? Like you guys migrated from the TNSR token to the Hustle token. And I remember at the time you wanted to do potentially 30 days. Adam wanted to do like 3 days or 7 days or something super short. And then you guys ended up doing the 14 days. So you recommend these teams to, hey, like we did 14 and it worked out really well? Or are you guys using yourselves as an example to kind of show these teams how it worked?
Actually, I originally wanted to do 100 days for the migration.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember.
I
yeah.
was, I was concerned about people missing the migration. But there was also kind of some different business strategies that went into it, where we knew that we were launching the hustle migration through our own platform. And so we were going to be setting the standard of what the future is. But also from a business standpoint, the market cap was at $800,000. And we knew that if this didn't change in the next month or two, it was probably all over. So we needed to make a big change as soon as possible. And so we ended up coming down to 14 days. I think it ended up being the right decision with getting 78% of the tokens migrated, include the LP pool of 7%. So you're saying 85% of tokens were accounted for. 51% of the tokens migrated in the first day. So as long as you do effective marketing, then you'll be able to get the most people on board. And this is actually where the difference lies between what Migrate Fun is versus the competitors. So the competitors we've seen, I believe Heaven App has said that they're going to build something. Believe App and Meteora just launched their kind of migration tool. And there's a few other competitors or people who've said that they're going to build something. And the difference with them versus where we are is they live under the premise and guise that every single token holder has to be brought along. And yes, in theory, that's what everybody wants, but that's not practically what happens. It's impossible to get 100% of people to participate in anything, let alone, some sort of on-chain token participation. So when we did the Tensorium migration, we did the same method that the Believe app is launching, where when you migrate the token, there's an LP on the other side of the new token and you start trading immediately. But for this to happen, you have to basically front the LP of the new token. And so looking at Believe app, and I'm not discrediting them, I actually am just showcasing to our community what the difference is and why we decided to go a different direction than what they're doing. And so when you look at Believe app, the new token had a seed of like 300,000 in liquidity. So this means that the team that migrates has to basically put up a front of 6 figures to migrate. And when we did that for Hustle, we realized very quickly that there were some also issues with the launch style and how people started trading it. And it also opened up subtle arbitrage opportunities that we were not a real fan of. And so we kind of scrapped that idea of migrate V1 and started building V2, which took us, almost 3 months to build since that idea. And Meteora actually came out and said that, yeah, the teams have to front it. And that's not practical for 99% of these teams who do not have 6 figures, let alone they're in the same situation we were, where you have a struggling token and you need to make a decision as soon as possible, right? So, these teams who are building native tools, they're going to have to subsidize these teams to migrate over, whether the subsidy is the platforms themselves fronting the liquidity and then charging a higher LP fee on the other side to recoup those fees, or they're just going to remove the migration fee themselves, or they're going to have to try to buy tokens off the market for the people who missed the migration, right? So there's all these different things, and that's not a game that we're going to play. That's not a game that I want to play. It's just playing that game. Not only does it remove capital resources, but it also takes development resources in order of setting up the LP, having funds, maybe because Meteora is owned by Jupiter or Pump or, even Bongfun and Radium, right? These teams have capital to do that kind of thing, but it's a cat and mouse game that eventually has all the fees raised to zero, which will eventually happen at some point anyways. So we took a lot of FUD. Remember, we took a lot of FUD in the very beginning about migrations and not being able to bring everyone along. But what I think a lot of teams are going to eventually realize is that it's just impossible for that to happen. And this is why we built our snapshot and claim tool. And, I'm happy to take the FUD. We knew that it was going to come and we adjusted appropriately when the FUD did. There were some valid claims in there. But there's also some people just being completely negligent of what the actual game theory is behind it and what the purpose is of the migrations themselves. So you'll see when we launch next week, the Migrate V2 version is built for teams who have no upfront capital or they can't see the LP itself. And we'll see it play out in real time. And from some of the conversations that we're having now with other launchpads or other AMMs or teams from or AMMs and teams from Base and from other blockchains who have reached out about it as well, they also do not want to have to seed these LP pools themselves, right? When you get to the underlying ones, right, the AMMs themselves, right, they're just infrastructure, and so they just want to help provide the infrastructure to us. And they don't want to have to get into the crosshairs of all of that, right? The launch pads themselves is a little bit more of the social warfare than the underlying tech. And so we actually have a solution, I think, to combat or I guess compete against potential migration tools that may pop out, where we actually have a partner that we're working with who is a large company who is going to be a part of the first migration group and is now postponing it about a week or a month, where they can use our tech to build the migration into their website themselves. And so with that, right, you could call it like a Migrate Fund SDK. We think that with the Migrate Fund SDK, this will potentially, eliminate a lot of the competition because we've built this crazy tech that took 3 months to build. And I think a lot of the teams, a lot of protocols we've talked with, they're also realizing that it is extremely complicated to build this type of stuff. And so we say, hey, here's the endpoints, go build the front end on your site, and then you can offer whatever competitive rates, or maybe they just do business to business development directly with us, where we just charge them directly, and then they can offer zero fees to their users. So something we'll be exploring next month once this first migration group is live, but there is a lot of potential here. And actually, I think the potential market of migrations is actually much larger than I initially thought. And I think it is just because the proliferation of locked liquidity pools is not slowing down and is actually accelerating on Solana. And I think that's eventually going to permeate across all of the L2s that exist on Ethereum as well. And so for us, that's big business because it's built on Emblem Vault. We can also go cross chain.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So the SVM version of this SDK seems to be ready. The EVM one, it wouldn't take too long for you guys to have that as well, right?
In theory, yeah, we're going to move to wherever the business exists. Right now, the business is on Solana, and that's why we decided to move the whole Emblem ecosystem around the Hustle token, because we want to be on Solana. Solana is where the most efficient capital is. It's where the most organic users are coming. And it's, in our opinion, the third solidified blockchain that's going to be here into the future, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, they all have their different purposes. And we're pretty much agnostic and neutral to all of them, but also recognize that they all have their own different strengths. And right now we want to be on Solana. And the inquiries about migrations are, 9 in 10 are Solana teams who want to migrate to Bonk Fund, or they want to migrate to Meteora, or they want to migrate to Pump. And it seems like the conversations always circle around whatever the new meta is, right? So like, for example, Pump Fund or Pump launched these like new rewards. And then all of a sudden we're getting 20 messages about people wanting to migrate to PumpSwap, right? And then it's Bonk Fund launches Kick, and now everyone wants to go migrate over to Bonk, right? And so for us, it's being able to just have these conversations with these teams, and we want to work with the people who want to work with us. And so far, Radium and Bonk have shown, extreme willingness to work with us, and also to be cognizant that they're also sending us their users, right? So to us, that's a big display that they want to work with us. And so they're great. There's other companies who have also reached out to us, and the conversations are moving, but at the end of the day, we can't force people to want to work with us. And so if they do, then awesome. If they don't, then they don't. And we're just going to continue moving forward with the demand that exists.
Love it. 100%, dude. Yeah. I mean, it's all you can do, right? Is work with the people who want to work with you. Anyone else, go build your own, because you guys see how hard it is. Let's jump to that tweet. I think pretty sure this is the tweet that you were talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So this is a tweet from you. It says, in the near to immediate future, we will see a handful of migration products hit the market. So we will be generalized platforms like Migrate Fund, and others will be native migration tools for specific platforms. Basically, kind of what they're doing. You mentioned what was that platform with? I think it was this guy here, right? Ben Pasternak. I guess.
Yeah. So
they
that's
build.
that's the Believe app, and then the
Gotcha.
response below it is actually one of the co-founders of Meteora, who they worked with, right? And so that was me kind of showing. If you click, can you click on that?
Yeah, sure.
On the picture.
The image.
Oh, this one right
the
here.
image
I got
above,
you.
yeah. So basically what it's showing here, and I didn't even see this until after my post, right? So they launched their Believe tool, kind of testing with his own tokens, which is cool, right? So I went and tried it out, and then I realized after looking through the Explorer and kind of seeing where fees are directed and stuff, it's a very similar build to our V1. But then you go down and the person says, where's the sole liquidity for the new LP, right? Which is what I said. And then Soju, who's the co-founder, says they front it. Which is kind of what I was saying. So if you go back to my post, if you go back to so you could click on that one, is fine. No, go down. Click on the down. So either you click on that one's fine. So I could dive into this. This is the same. This is kind of what I was explaining, right? I was saying you either lean into the game theory and the practicality of migrations, that you accept that not 100% of people are going to participate, or you're going to have to subsidize the people who do not participate, right? And so all of the competing tools are running on the narrative that they're going to subsidize the competition. And, that's just not a game that we're going to play. If the other teams want to dish out millions of dollars to do that, then that's their prerogative. But we're building a platform for, the 99% of teams that we've talked with who do not have 6 figures to fund the new LP pools. And so we're building in that situation. And what was shown in that post was exactly what's happening, is that they are just they're just going to simply try to, beat us on the social realm of saying, migrate fund bad because,
15, doesn't bring everybody along or
because
whatever.
10% or 15% of people missed for whatever the reason is. And, we'll take that FUD because I'm just being, honest to the situation, and it's not a wag me thing because that's just not how migrations work. Although we want to, this is a snapshot and claim tool. And there's other types of incentives that teams are working on with like rewards and things like that. But it's tough to kind of realize, or it's we're not going to win on that social front, but we are going to change the narrative because now other people are building migration tools, which now migrations are accepted. So cool. We went through the shit to get basically lambasted by these teams who were unwilling to listen to our perspective or influencers or whoever. And that's fine. But we're going to go where the business is. We've talked now to close to 150 teams. Whereas these other platforms, maybe they get 5 to 10 people who are interested. So, I'll happily take the FUD if that leads to, 1,000% more clients for Migrate Fund.
Well, definitely. I mean, from a business sense standpoint, it's no brainer. These teams aren't going to have, even high 5 figures laying around, right? The low 6 figures laying around to get any type of liquidity pool fronted. So you're gonna win more business this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's the way that crypto is. It's the on-chain economy. And so Migrate Fund's going to be a generalized platform. Obviously, we still have our own obstacles to overcome. There's, being the neutral third-party platform in between a, multi-billion-dollar launchpad war is not an easy thing to navigate because there are relationships, right, that are built. There's trust that's involved, as well as kind of climbing the social ranks to talk with all the CEOs of these companies. And then you have to get in contact with all the directories and right. But for us, it's bullish because the more teams that we talk with, the more awareness there is around our product suite of all these different companies. And eventually people will kind of figure out what's going on. And eventually it just pivots us or points us to be the crypto logistics company and compete, among the best kind of companies who can move assets across chains. And so whether it's vaults or whether it's tokens or whatever, when we build a fungible token bridge, if it's a fungible token bridge, or whatever it is. We're going to combine all of these together to make it a superior product that literally no other company can compete against.
Yeah, I mean, especially you guys put your money where your mouth is. I mean, these audits are not cheap. I mean, these are probably costing you
It was
an arm and a leg.
it was close to 6 figures for this Halborn audit. It's a very
Wow.
expensive. Yeah, what a crazy industry to be a part of, where you can audit something for 3 weeks and get paid $100,000. Kind of wild.
Is there like a warranty or like an insurance? If there's something,
There's
something
no
found in there?
liability on their end either. That's the crazy part. It's like
Man,
the
we-
insurance. It's like the
We gotta
insurance
get in that
industry.
business.
Yeah, it's like the insurance industry.
I would look over your smart contract. But yeah, it's craziness, man. So you said you talked to some teams now that want to go to Pump. Obviously, we all know that Pump has been, the leader the last week or two because of the situation they have going on with all these crazy streamers, and they're doing crazy stuff, and the streaming platform is doing really well. Are you seeing? You said you're seeing a lot of interest going that way. Is that possible though? Because from my understanding, I don't know. Can you take a bonk coin, migrate it to Pump, and now you're able to stream with that coin?
So this is where the business development comes in, and this is some of the complicated aspects of it. So I'll use like our relationship with Radium and Bonk Fund, right? So Radium, when we first started this mission, we reached out to all the teams, and Radium was the only one who responded, and they responded very quickly and with a very decisive yes. So when we started talking with them about it, right, the building to the Radium CPMM is pretty simple, right? If a team wants to migrate to their own standalone liquidity pool where they have 100% sovereignty over it, that's pretty straightforward for us. It's once you start migrating into the launch pads, there's all of these different presets and these different requirements and kind of backend technology that you have to kind of talk through. And so when Bonk Fund had reached out about migrating to Bonk Fund, they were very open to kind of working through these different things that you have to have conversations with. What are the fee presets? What makes it a Bonk Fund token, right? Is it just having Bonk at the end? Is there more things to it, right? How does this integrate with the new technologies? How does this integrate with the directories, right? And kind of going through all of those conversations so that we can understand every single gotcha for this. Some teams, though, they don't want all of this information to be known, right? So you have to be completely trusted and proven for this to happen. So Bonk Fund's been a great partner. They're also, I've also learned that, they're a small team as well, who's punching above their rank, competing among the best, and so they have a lot of things to do. So, and we also have to figure out some of the stuff on our own. So when the transition, like in the last week, a bunch of people asking about migrating to PumpSwap, right? Well, first we have to figure out, how to integrate PumpSwap. The PumpSwap SDK is not very public. It's also doesn't have the full suite that Radium offers, right? And so you kind of have to look to see, can you integrate it? What's missing? And then whenever what's missing, you then have to get in contact with the team, right? Obviously, the larger the team, the more politics that are involved, the more checks and balances, the more realms, right? And so once you then get in contact with the team, you then have to talk with them and to see how open they are with this idea. Most of them are generally pretty open to the idea of migrations now. But then it's, really diving in and getting the specific requirements, right? So for example, if you migrate to PumpSwap, right, does that automatically include the streaming capabilities with it? What are the fee presets, right? How do they lock the tokens? How are the fees distributed? Is there some sort of proprietary fee distribution tooling that they're using on the back end? Once something is graduated on Pump Fund or on PumpSwap, how does all of that stuff get listed on all of these different directories, right? So there's all these conversations that you have to go through. And some of these teams are just busy or impossible to get in contact with, or when they do show support, they don't respond for a long time, right? And so I would say at this point, we're in contact with most of them, but I guess you would say the progress tends to be a lot of start and stop because all these teams are also busy. You make some progress, then they don't respond for a week, right? Or then because now they're sidetracked with their own stuff, then all of a sudden you get new people interested. So then you have to kind of nudge them. Hey, is this something you want to do? And so, yeah, it's a lot of back and forth, but, we would like to support all of the companies and migrations to all of these different platforms, but it takes input and participation from the other teams. And so far up to today, Migrate or Bonk Fund and Radium have been, pretty on point of answering any other questions, and the other teams have been a little bit sporadic. But we'll see. There's a lot of teams outside of protocols and platforms who are watching this first migration group who want to migrate to all of these different things. And so we use the different communities' inputs to get in contact with all of these teams. And that's kind of happened with some of the other ones where they're like, hey, I want to migrate to Pump. And I'm like, go get in contact with them then. They won't answer us. So if you can bring them on board, then, sure, we'll talk with them. And so the community's actually been pretty on point with getting some of these conversations going. But unfortunately, I can't, they can lead us to the water, but unfortunately you can't make these teams, drink the water until they realize that the water is probably wine at some point in time.
Yeah, I mean,
so the incentives, right? Incentives of moving from places, and they're going to get bigger and bigger if Launchpad wars because Yago.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's interesting how you mentioned the team sizes and how you have to go jump through hoops sometimes to get consistent progress through, and it gets stifled because that's not something that somebody that works in the Web2 business world or corporate world there's teams assigned to there's project managers, and because of where we are in the innovation of the space, we're in this weird spot where and there's it's mostly startups, let's be honest. Everybody's like a startup, even our show, right? And it's but once the space matures, I do think there will be more of the project managers assigned to the migration project, dealing with migrate.fund and stuff like that. Probably a couple years away from that, but I think we're heading towards that way. Do you agree with that? Or
yeah, I agree. Talking with some of the larger teams, it's kind of interesting in specific to Migrate Fund. Also, Agent Hustle has a little bit of this approach as well. When we talk with the AMMs, the people who built the AMMs about Migrate Fund, they're all like, yeah, we'd rather use this as a third-party tool than building our own, because they realize not only the technical lift and resources it takes, but also the social ramifications of it, right? They're playing in essentially it's a three-way competitive triangle between Pump, Jupiter, and Radium, right? But Jupiter owns Meteora to a degree, which also owns Moonshot, right? So you have kind of that collective. You have Pump Fund and Pump Swap, and they tend to be pretty much, they own the whole vertical stack. And then you have Radium and Bonk Fund, who work really close together. Now they've brought on World Liberty Fi, right? So you kind of got this three-way triangle going. And I think the AMMs themselves, being Pump Swap, Meteora, and Radium, have all pretty much said, they could be just stringing us along as well, but that they don't want to build a native tool because building a native tool brings a lot more, I guess you would say, heat on them, because now they're directly vampire attacking their competitors, right? And so, for example, if right, there's already bad blood between these teams, and it's pretty apparent through the conversations that we have with them, which is fine, right? I mean, you're competing for tens of billions of dollars, so it makes sense. But if one of these teams feel directly threatened by one of these teams, right, then they're going to retaliate in some way. And this has happened already multiple times. And kind of the conversations that I'm getting is that if they build their own migration tool, the other teams are going to feel very threatened about this. And then they're going to have to retaliate in some way. But again, it's conversations until it's actually implemented, actually built.
It sounds like gang wars. It sounds
it is.
It's you retaliate, I'm going to retaliate, eye for an eye. It just sounds nuts.
So, yeah, it's almost kind of like an agreement too, like a silent agreement, even without talking to each other, that, hey, you build that, what's going to happen. And then, so there's this, you guys, actually, it's a good situation for y'all, because as long as you kind of stay neutral, which seems to be your approach here, hey, look, we're a third party, then what they can feel like is let the best man win kind of situation, right? They can be like, okay, like if you really offer more than us, then then you'll get the migration over there, or et cetera, et cetera. But we're going to make sure that doesn't happen because we're going to jack up our incentives now. So in that sense, that could be really good for you because now you're looked at as like this neutral kind of like almost kind of like a cop in the ganglands, right? Like he's like, okay, look, just don't kill each other, but like, and so I don't know. But
And that, I mean, that's where we want to be, right? Like ideally you want to be the neutral third party. Most of the time though, it doesn't ever play out to be that way, right? So, we'll give it our best to make it be the neutral third party. But, if people are unwilling to participate, then unfortunately you have to kind of choose sides. And, we have no problem doing that if that ends up being the case, whether it's some sort of adversarial effect or whether there's some sort of incentive to kind of pick a side. But I think and we believe that the best opportunity here is to be a neutral third party, because once you pick a side on Solana, it's going to be much harder to move cross-chain to Base, which would be the next lucrative, right? Because then the Base ecosystem is going to be like, oh, you chose this partner. Are you going to do the same thing here, right? And so then they start cutting off access to them. And for us, being a neutral third party, it also plays across our ecosystem, because if we have good relationships with the AMMs on Solana and a good relationships with the AMMs on Base and whatever ecosystem, it makes it much easier for us to then come in and integrate all the stuff into Agent Hustle, and then eventually the bigger product, which is Emblem Vault, right? And I've explained this many times, Emblem Vault has potential, if we can continue to scale, one of the largest companies in the industry, because this idea of having essentially an Amazon on every chain that allows you to ship packages between all these chains, right? When crypto is a little bit, more mature, maybe 5 years from now, you're going to have literally hundreds or thousands of packages moving across chains. And we kind of went through this once already last year when we launched, or earlier this year when we launched Emblem 2.0. And we were talking with all these L2s about deploying Emblem on Base and Abstract and Merlin and all these other ones. And the interest was there, but the relationships were not there, right? And it's like you have to have all these relationships with all these ecosystems to really push these innovative ideas forward. And so being a neutral third party across all of our products is what we want to do. Obviously, doing that in practice, much more difficult. But so far, looking so good. And we're just going to continue to build as these kind of generalized DeFi AI platform, generalized migrate fund platform, and then a generalized tokenized vaulting protocol.
Yeah, man. And speaking of looking good, I mean, I love what you guys did with the logo. Absolutely phenomenal, by the way. I'm guessing Chris, or
as we use
the part?
Axel. Axel's helped us with a lot of stuff. He was I think he was like a DGods artist that we had met through, or the graphics design guy we met him earlier this year, and he's been helping us with a lot of stuff. So Axel Designs, give him a follow. He's a beast. And yeah, it looks really well. And that's kind of like the logo change is something that we wanted. And it also kind of shows when you change these logos and you do a little bit of a graphic chain, it shows that there's an energy change, right? You're kind of signaling that this is now the next stage after people have been waiting, and that's fully what we intend to do.
100%.
I wanted to
go
ahead. I was just real quick. I wanted to ask you, Jay, because you were more into the weeds last cycle than I was. I was participating as just a retail participant, but I don't remember the competition being so cutthroat like it is on Solana. Like with the Ethereum chain, you had Uniswap, you had SushiSwap, but I don't remember them like trying to kill each other. Is it a lot more competitive on Solana than you remember in the past, like cycles and like Ethereum and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I was also kind of just a trader last cycle. I came on to Emblem kind of towards the end. But yeah, Solana is a much more competitive and cutthroat environment. I would say it's much closer to Silicon Valley, whereas Ethereum is a lot more closer to Wall Street. And it's because Wall Street is coming in and building on these L2s or investing in the L2s. So the incentives are a little bit different. Whereas on Solana, there's a lot more focus on revenues and buybacks, right? And kind of P&Ls and kind of more traditional way to value things. And that's kind of how Silicon Valley is built. Most of these companies on Solana are like heavily funded. And so they have to hit their margins. They have to hit these timelines. And that does exist on Ethereum. But I think on Solana, because of its scale, its system of being a monolithic chain, it feels very crowded at times. And then on Ethereum, because you can build on L2s, it feels a little bit more distant. And right on an L2, everyone is a lot more in line and a lot more in unison, because what an L2 is essentially is a decentralized app store, right? So like what Base is a decentralized app store for Coinbase, right? And so Coinbase could come in and make sure that all the competition is kind of unified or on a similar mission. Whereas Solana is a layer 1, and it feels a lot more competitive. And I think so. That's the case as well. Also, I think because the transaction times are very quick, that also tends to be the case. So you have less time to react to things, which then adds kind of more emotion to the way that people build about it. But that's where we want to be. It's tough to build. That's why we started with Agent Hustle on Solana, because we knew it was going to be much more difficult, but it'd be much more rewarding in the end.
Yeah, 100%. Let's take a look at who you guys already announced that are migrating. So let's just start with the top one here. George will be migrating. Colossus of George will be migrating to Bonk Fun. Then you have Kitty will be so Kitty will be migrating to Pump Fun. Project 89. I actually heard these guys on your show. Homie, is that what it is? Homie?
I think it's Homie. It's supposed to be.
That is weird.
Like it's spelled Homie. It's a CTO project. Yeah. It's a CTO project. You get a lot of these people coming in, and that's a big reason to migrate as well.
Gotcha. And are these already the token names, or are these something else that is coming to this name?
So some of these are a lot of the teams are actually rebranding. So these are the original names that we had posted on there. Like GoVAI is rebranding to Mach, right? They're kind of meme. It's an AI company that's around like pigeons being surveillance drones, right? Like the real meme that's existed for a while. So all of these that we're announcing are actually confirmed teams that we've officially onboarded. I think it should be around 15 or 14 teams in this first group. Again, we did have the largest person who's going to be in this group pushed to do their own migration on their own site, because they have a lot more people holding their token. It's a lot larger token. They have, investors and applications and things. But yeah, it should be good. About 14 teams. I think 11 of them are migrating to Bonk Fun, or 12. And then we have 3 or 4 teams who are migrating to Radium CPMM. And then we'll kind of go from there once it's all kind of live and we work through it all. Yeah. So Agent Mock, I think that's like their new one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Also, the CTO opportunity is actually good for your business too, because some of these got, they were launched before incentives were even created. Now there's new incentives, and so if there's someone that has any confidence in the community, they can CTO it and they can earn the fees for that. So
yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm excited for the future of Migrate Fun. When we first launched it, when we first actually came up with the idea, we knew it would be big. And we knew it would be challenging to kind of insert this into the center of it all, but I think we've done a good job so far. Job is literally just getting started. Like, we're just getting to the starting line now, next Thursday, finally, after a few months. It's not been easy. Very, 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 very time consuming. But that's the best platforms in the world, and innovators had to go through a lot of this muck to kind of cut it all out. So, it's cool. What's cool about having now Hustle be just the network token is that you can kind of shift the attention and narratives across these different platforms so that essentially there's always something happening in the ecosystem and something for people to be kind of excited about. We kind of have, I've been saying this, but these next few months is finally like ripping off the last band-aid of this whole Emblem brand and ecosystem repair. Like when I joined the company 3 years ago, it was just the two co-founders, and the community owned the Discord. They owned the Twitter account. Like it was a pretty big puzzle to figure out. Also, you had like Cobalt token and regulatory, uncertainty. You have to build the company, hire people, build revenue. Like all of it's been changing. But I think once we make the transition of the refund of keys and everyone transitions to Hustle, and Migrate Fund is live, as well as by the end of the year, you'll have Agent Hustle expanding to multiple chains. And these chains, we've been talking with different partners. We have a partner that's a top 20 blockchain. I think they're going to be getting an ETF, it looks like, as well. So that should be coming out in the next, maybe month or so. It's similar. It's similar thing when you're working with like blockchain foundations on behalf of the Agent Hustle that it is talking with launchpads on behalf of Migrate Fund. The larger these teams, the more corporate structures there are, which means you have to go through emails and different teams and different sectors. And it takes a lot longer. It feels a lot more like a traditional company themselves. But we know that this friction is the moat to it all. And we know there's only a handful of teams that can probably get this far. We've been basically putting our social capital that we've been building in the industry for 10 years, basically on the line to even get in the room to have these kind of conversations. And it's going pretty well. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of time to get all of these done. But I think once we get a few more Hustle integrations live, I think people will start to kind of look around and try to figure out that the ecosystem is very undervalued comparative to where it is today.
Yeah, 100% too. And like, you mentioned a top 20 chain, and honestly, like, I'm trying to think like, yeah, are you benefiting the chain, or is the chain benefiting you? I think you guys are benefiting the chain more in the sense of now they don't have to go and build their own AI project. They can just say, hey, we have AI on our chain. Meet Agent Hustle, right? Or, so that is actually going to be absolutely huge because, let's just say they're so focused on RWA that they forget that they need to hire a team to do something like AI. Otherwise, why is they're going to get left behind? You guys can come and provide that for them. So this is absolutely huge, and absolutely huge to whoever you guys are going to be, joining or stuff like that. But potentially, you guys are going to be on every chain. And that'll be absolutely huge because then a cross chain becomes super easy because it's all done right through Hustle.
Yeah, I think now with speaking on Hustle specifically, so very similar to like on the Migrate side of thing, where we have to get in contact with AMMs and launchpads. On the Agent Hustle side, we try to get in contact with the blockchain foundations to kind of understand their opinion or their thoughts on AI. Where's co-marketing opportunities, and how can we help? And regardless of like where these blockchains are with their different perspectives on AI, we've recently kind of in the last few weeks, especially since the subscriptions were live, helped us really form around what Agent Hustle is. And it's an intelligent token discovery platform that offers automated tooling with it. And through the conversations with these foundations, when we present that this is a platform to help users find tokens to buy, it really just lights a light bulb. And they're like, oh shit, like that's definitely something that we want. And so with this partner that we have, right, they have a gigantic market cap. I think it's over 10 billion. But their on-chain economy is very small. It's like 100 million or 200 million in TVL. And so the question becomes, and we're going to find out here, over the next 6 months or so, if you bring an AI-powered platform that helps users find tokens, does that increase the value of the chain and the transactional volume of these hard to reach chains? Because now users don't have to go and download a wallet. They just basically plug in agenthustle.ai, sign in with Google, and now they're on the chain ready to kind of interact with it. And if you have, this one generalized token discovery platform of Agent Hustle that has 10 different chains, and users can go find tokens on all of these in one single LLM experience, does that increase the the amount of demand on tokens on the platform, because now you have a wide variety of people participating. So it's something that we're going to find out. We have 50 paying, or maybe a little over now, 50 paying subscribers, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's 50 unique connections. The way that I think about this is, imagine being in a room with 50 people. Those are your power users, right? And going and talking with these people of all different net worth sizes and understanding. 50 people is very powerful. You know, I've worked in nightclubs and stuff, and 50 doesn't seem like a lot when people are flaunting having 1 million daily active users, which is more than like the daily active users of the crypto industry, right? It seems very small. But I've worked in person in these nightclubs and stuff, and I know what it's like to be in a room with 50 very wealthy individuals who could completely flip a narrative. And if you have 50 wealthy individuals who are very knowledgeable now interacting with your chain that has very little volume, and they're finding tokens to ape, it then increases the speculative value, which then will cause more people to then subscribe to Agent Hustle because they want access to token discovery of all these chains, right? And then the final thought is, well, if you have 1,000 people using this one AI to find tokens on these chains, will the AI then recommend the same tokens, which then therefore is Agent Hustle essentially creating the runners of these chains? Because if it has 1,000 subscribers and he's recommending similar tokens to all these people, essentially the AI is now, the authority on token discovery. And so is that something that chains are going to be very, interested in? I would say so, especially in a lot of these where it's tough. I call them tough to reach, but it's like you have to download a new wallet, right? It's not supported by Phantom, or it's not supported by MetaMask, or it has like some sort of network issue. And so you could do this all in one experience. And so, those are questions that will be answered over the next 6 months or so. I think yes, as long as we can get subscriptions up, right? Would like to have like 1,000 active subscriptions. And what the plan is to then include Emblem Vault and Migrate Fund into the Hustle subscription service themselves, so that it essentially the whole ecosystem becomes somewhat of like an Amazon Prime, where you pay monthly for your Hustle subscription, and you get all of these discount programs for these platforms, as well as premium services. And a lot of that still has to be built and answered, but it's just the way that we're thinking about. And I don't know of any crypto product or company that has an active subscription service of over 1,000 people that offers different things, like a different package, right? So like when you go to Amazon and you get Amazon Prime, you get free shipping from the shipping industry, right? So that would be like Emblem Vault, right? You get free access to Amazon Prime. You get access to their drop shipping stuff, and to Kindle and all these other things. And so we would like to have something very similar with Hustle. The subscription model is not really proven in crypto. I don't think anyone's really explored it, or I don't think anyone's really had 3 applications that have product market fit.
Yeah.
So, we're going to go down that path and see. And if we can get subscriptions up, then I think it I think it accrues a lot of value to the Hustle token and has become very worthy for the hustlers.
I think we fight for users right now in Web3 because it's been so focused not on the user experience. But so when I look at like the users right now, Solana owns that for the most part. But I don't think that is going to be for in the future. A thriving Web3 ecosystem is going to have tons of users once the focus goes back to experiences. And that's exactly what you're talking about. So I think Hustle will be a part of making the experiences better, and that first focus being experiences, because the technology is the new financial system. But once you make the main layer of the experience, then that's whenever I think we're not so like right now. I feel like we're kind of like in this famine to where like and then like Solana has all the food and everybody's like, give me some food. And Solana's like, no, peasant, get out of here. Right. but in the future, for us to have true mainstream adoption, experiences need to be the main focus. And I think corporations like these new blockchains that have huge billion-dollar market caps, but the TVL is not so big. They got smart people from Silicon Valley and other areas that will figure out the experiences. Like Sonium, for example, Sony has their own blockchain. They're going to do something with that. You know, they're going to integrate experiences with it. But the AI product that brings all of those access to the experiences in one house, that's the ultimate like convenience.
Yeah, I completely agree as well. I think what the industry is waiting for is normie capital to come in, right? Or institutional capital. You're kind of attacking it from both sides. It does appear that the institutional capital is coming now, and the normie capital is going to have to come when the LLM experiences are a lot better. So, you know, we're also considering, you know, what the future of UX is. And so, for example, we have to rebuild the Emblem Vision site because it is just not up to standards where current today is. I think eventually for Emblem, it all eventually just kind of dwindles down to becoming just a giant LLM experience, whether you're trying to vault something with Emblem or bridge a token or migrate something, right? Or use Agent Hustle to trade. That's what normies want, right? That's what most people are going to want, is just to type in natural language to get what you want to do. I think we now have the key pieces of infrastructure to do it all. We have Emblem, that's a multi-chain tokenized vault, which is essentially the vaulting industry is starting to gain a lot of attraction through AI yield optimization. So, for example, you take, you know, USDC and ETH and whatever token, you throw in a vault, and the AI kind of puts it through all these different LPs and farming systems to generate yield, to things like Hyperliquid that's completely built off of vaults. Hyperliquid would not exist without vaulting infrastructure because you have to deposit tokens in there, right? To Emblem Vault, to an NFT bridge, and soon we'll be building a fungible token bridge for Hustle as well, so that we can expand Hustle to chains that want to work with us. And then you have, right, Migrate Fund, which is a migration tool. And then you have AI, which is Agent Hustle. And so we kind of got the blueprint, I think, to create a fully inclusive package, you know, that can compete against, like, not just the best in crypto industry, but the best in the world. It's going to take a lot to get there. Obviously, we need a lot more capital to do this, but we're going to do what we can with the resources that exist. And so far, this small team of now 9 people is competing against teams that have hundreds of millions of dollars in funding and hundreds of team members. And it's because we're very strategic in our approach, and we're just experienced. And also the community buys in with what we're trying to do. And I think over time, people will eventually progress. And kind of the final point here is, I still continue to have conversations with VCs consistently. It's funny because Adam's just like completely checked out of it now. It's like there's no point of talking to VCs anymore because they don't understand. But I still am curious to hear their perspective, and talked with the VC yesterday as well as one earlier this week. 2 very large very popular companies. And I try to explain to them, you know, the 3 apps with 1 token and AI and stuff, and they just don't understand it at all. So I'm just, you know, completely checked out from, or I'm not convinced that any VC is going to come and save us, quote unquote, to help us scale. So you have to do it through the community, and the community's proven over Emblem's 10-year history to be very supportive of the vision. The cult of Shannon is very strong from the Emblem side. And I think the new cults that are forming through Hustle and Migrate Fund is going to have a very, very large crossover here by the end of Q1, once everyone is on the Hustle standard.
Hustle standard, man. Love it. Love it. 3 platforms, 1 hustle, man. Jake, thank you so much for joining us here each and every week. Really appreciate it. But if there's anything left you have, now's the time.
Just buy Hustle, man. Join the movement. I think the holders count is up pretty good, near the all-time high. It hit all-time high recently, around 3,500. Obviously, that is nowhere close to where it should be. But we're organic, right? There's no bots. I mean, people could spin up bots, but we're not inflating the numbers or anything. We just let it live as it is. And obviously it's painful for token speculators, as I see, people in the chat and the whale chat and some of the other ones consistently upset, the price is up, price is down or whatever. But we just do the things that we're best at, which is building products. And after that's done, then it's good to see more people buying in because it shows us that they're believing our vision. What was the question? Was it from Stan?
Yeah, he just asked. He said AI and BTC are energy intensive. How does Jake view energy consumption? Does Huster, who's Huster?
Hustle.
Oh, okay. Need to eliminate BTC for AGI success. I don't get that one. I guess maybe
I'll try my best at it.
Okay.
Yeah. So because BTC is proof of work chain.
Yeah.
AI obviously as well. I mean, I think this is like the first time in US history that tech companies are now allowed to build their own energy facilities to power AI. For us, it doesn't really matter because right now we're using existing models, essentially like an AI wrapper. Eventually in the future we could kind of train our own model, but for now we're not dependent on facilitating our own energy as we kind of delegate that to the gigantic AI companies who kind of have to build that out. That will change whenever we have to train our own model and operate it, but for now we get to ride the coattails of these deca or 11 or 12 figure companies that are worth billions, if not trillions of dollars who are doing it. I think it would be kind of counterintuitive to try to compete with them at this point in time while they're still scaling and getting money. But in the future, when all this stuff kind of settles down and starts to hit a plateau, that's when you start building out your own model. But until then, it's essentially free money to let them just train everything until then.
Makes sense. Makes total sense.
It'd be cool too if one day we're able to give Hustle our compute. You know what I mean? In some type of way, that'd be really cool. Like
Trying to earn. He's trying to earn. Ratoshi says, "Let's get it, boys." And then, of course, we got Soul Mav that says, "Unleash me on a new chain, please." Maybe in the near future, maybe not. We don't know, right? And then the community is fire. So
yeah, we're pretty close. With EVM, we have ERC20 transfers and ETH transfers done. And on our partnered project is much further along. So we've got the transfers done, the DEX is done. We have to integrate the launchpad, and then it's probably ready to go. And for EVM, once you have to start with the ETH mainnet because it's the foundation for it. So we have to integrate Uniswap and Clanker, I think is like the top launchpad on ETH mainnet. Our kind of goal here is we have a template now with Agent Hustle where it's conditional engine, which is actually being redone right now. Our new developer is literally fully dedicated to the conditional trading system because it is broken and needs to be fixed for it to scale. So you have the conditional engine toolbox, which with the toolbox, our new dev is also building an auto tool selector. So you won't have to go in the toolbox and choose between all these. Just whatever your request is, Hustle will automatically choose the tools needed. So those two things are being more efficient. And then is memory, right? And we have ideas for how to make the memory more efficient. But those are his three key pillars that we want to take to every chain. That's what makes the token discovery awesome. And then after that, when we expand to new chains, we have to integrate the AMM. So you have to do the swap and LPs plus their launchpad, which is wherever the new tokens are created. And that's going to be basically the basis template for all of these chains. And then relative to whatever the chain is, we'll integrate any specific products. Like for example, on Polygon, you're going to want to integrate Polymarket to it, right? Or when you go into Base, there's Avantis and a few of these other things, Banker and stuff that you're going to want to integrate to the chain as well. But that's our template because we now have the market data to show that our subscribers and power users want intelligent token discovery across all the chains, as Mav and all of the other guys have said. So that's our goal. And yeah, should be coming here pretty soon. We have the devs working literally night and day on improving Hustle.
Hey, man, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Jake. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Have a good weekend, guys. We'll talk pretty soon.
Sounds good. Take it easy.
Goodbye.
Get some sleep.
Wow. Absolutely awesome, man. Agent Hustle, Migrate.fun, Emblem Vault, all three under one roof now with the Hustle token. Sky's the limit. The sky's the limit for these guys, man. It's just I don't know much more to say besides thank you everyone who was here rocking with us all this time, man. It was almost 3 hours, but yeah, man, 1,600 people. I love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, a lot of show out today for sure. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. It is Friday and the week is over, but you always got to stay focused, right? And we appreciate all of you guys for watching and supporting us. Without you guys, we couldn't do this, but without our partners, we also couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate that. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for Bitcoin runes or alkanes, and very soon Spark tokens. I saw an announcement Magic Eden's going to be launching soon. They said they didn't put a time exactly, but they're going to be Sats Terminal is going to be supporting Spark tokens, right? You can actually go to the website and click on Spark and try to get early access, and they will put your address in there. So make sure you guys are paying attention to that. Also, when you do transactions on the platform, you can earn Amber points. Amber points are going towards a point system that's going to be an early a give back for early adopters. So you want to make transactions, you want to connect your wallet, you get a bonus when you connect your wallet for the very first time, right? So head over to statsterminal.com to learn more. And then Emblem Vault, we just talked to Jake about Emblem, about Agent Hustle. Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer, like you said, shipping packages like Amazon all over Web3. So if you're looking to jump your ordinals or NFTs to Ethereum from Bitcoin, you got to use Emblem Vault. You can actually take a loan out against your Taproot wizards right now on Gandhi, which is the largest borrowing and lending platform for NFTs on Ethereum. But Gandhi should be opening up to other collections, and Emblem will be opening up to other chains in the future, like Abstract, Base, Merlin, Bitcoin Layer 2, possibly Arbitrum, stuff like that. But we do know Solana is on that roadmap to be able to, to use Emblem Vault with. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product on Solana, AI Agent Hustle. If you go to agenthustle.ai, you can use it for free. There is a free version there. It doesn't have all the tool sets. If you want to use the entire package, which I recommend because you want to have the full tool set there, there is a subscription you can get into there, and you can get a discount if you use the Hustle token. But if you just want to use it for free to test it out, you can do that. You can ask questions like, find me a couple safe 2 to 5x plays on Solana. Hustle will bring back those options for you and break down why he thinks that they are good plays, right? Also, there's a conditional trading engine within Hustle. So you can say, hey, buy Fartcoin when it pulls back 30%, sell it whenever I'm up 200%, right? And he'll take care of that for you while you're taking care of errands, doing whatever you need to do. Right. So really exciting stuff. There is another product within the Hustle and Emblem ecosystem called Migrate.fun. We talked about this as well. This is a big focus of the team right now. If you launched a token on Solana, on Pump Fund or Bonk, and you want to go to the other launch pad, you got to use Migrate.fun. They make it as easy as possible for you guys. They can get that locked liquidity out and have your community kind of get reinvigorated, right, to launch on that new launch pad. Or you can just have it launched to Meteora and launch your manage your own LPs. That is always an option as well. So head over to migrate.fund to learn more, and then you can learn all about all three products at emblem.vision today. And then Artura.finance is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you like Hyperliquid, you like Aster, you're going to love Artura, because Artura is going to allow you to trade Bitcoin synthetic fungible tokens in the near future. You're going to be able to trade Doggo to the Moon, $1 billion cat, already sats, and everybody's getting wrecked from our Tuesday night show there, you can see. But yeah, there is a 10,000 USDC competition right now. The first place gets 5,000 USDC, and the next couple winners get a split between them all for the rest of the 5,000 USDC. It's not super hard right now. As you can see, people are losing in this competition. But if you go to the leaderboard, the compete link there at the top, you can see that the top place is only up $433 in their P&L. So if you like to trade, you can trade Bitcoin or Ethereum right now. They're going to be adding synthetic derivatives as well. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Also, while you're trading on the platform, you're going to be able to earn points on the Botonic side, as They are live on Botonix, Bitcoin Layer 2, the Spider Chain, as well as earning points on their platform. So you can kind of double dip there. They are going to announce some future other environments they're going to be launching on other Bitcoin Layer 2s as well. So make sure you're following them on X. Yeah, so that's pretty much it with Artura, guys. Make sure you're paying attention and following them because they're going to announce TGE information too. Head over to artura.finance today. And then Tokyo Wallet is the multi-chain smart wallet building for the best UI and UX. They support 3 ecosystems right now: Bitcoin, Cardano, and Sui. You can swap for Bitcoin runes, you can swap for Cardano tokens, or you can swap for Sui tokens directly in their app. They partnered with DEX aggregator swaps in all 3 ecosystems there. Also, there is an alpha section on their app where it shows YouTube channels. You'll find our YouTube channel as well as other popular YouTube channels there as well. Get your alpha. If you have an iPhone, head over to the Apple App Store. If you have an Android, head over to the Google Play Store. Download the app. Let us know what you think. We'll let the team know as well. They also have their token, the TOKE token that powers their ecosystem. It is a Cardano token, but you can stake directly in their app there to earn. Head over to Tokyo.io to dive into all the information there. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They just released their AI product called the Wizard 2.0. It's the latest version. You can swap for tokens outside of the Merlin ecosystem. So all you got to do is have some Bitcoin, Merlin Bitcoin, in your wallet, and you can say, "Hey, Wizard, swap $10 of Fartcoin," and the Wizard will do a cross-chain swap for you. You can swap for tokens on BNB as well. All the popular in-demand chains, you can do so from the Wizard there. Also, you can use the Wizard for data aggregation. You can grab information about the top 10 Fartcoin holders. The Wizard will bring it back for you. So make sure you're taking advantage of that tool and using it in the Merlin ecosystem there. Also, you can participate in the proof of stake, which is what powers Merlin Chain. There's 3 options there. There is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. On average, you earn 16% APR there. It is locked up till September 30th, so you got about 11 days to earn. I'm sure there's going to be a new Bitcoin staking vault open. This product is really popular right now. A lot of institutional interest as well. So, make sure you head over to merlinchain.io to check that out. Also, there's 2 options for the Merlin Chain token, though, to where you can stake. And the first one is the flexible day-to-day. You earn 15% APR. You can claim your rewards every single day. You can roll those up into a compound interest strategy and restake them. If you do want to withdraw after you start the staking vault, it does take 7 days for that cooldown period to make it possible for you to withdraw on the day-to-day there. There is a second option. There is the bonded option, which is a 45% APR. You can claim those rewards every single day too. It is locked up for 6 months though. So head over to merlinchain.io. If you're at the Korea blockchain, head over to their booth. Say what's up to Jeff and his team as well. Really awesome people. I got to meet them in person. But yeah, that is Merlin Chain for you guys. The last one is Ordinal Hive, our friends from Ordinal Hive, the fastest ordinal marketplace in the industry. Go to ordinalhive.io to learn about how quick it is. If you buy an NFT, you get it right away. If you sell it, they're trying to get that Bitcoin right away, but right now it does take a block, I believe. But they do have some amazing trader tools like live mempool insights. If you want to, grab something that was mispriced real quick, they're going to show you what's in there. So you want to take advantage of that. They also have their Hive token and BRC 2.0 collection. That's related to that with their B collection, about 60-70% staked on Stake It. But follow them on X so you hear about their announcements with their TGE as well. And we thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always, I meant to mention this earlier, but totally forgot. OnChain Revolution podcast is now OnChain Revolution Media. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of really cool stuff with the news. So we found a news aggregator that is giving news drop of every second. Like every second there's news, and we want to bring it to you guys first. We want to be the first to market on a lot of this stuff, so we're going to start doing it. We started yesterday, was the first day, but as you can see, we have already like 9 or 12 tweets. Honestly, there's tons of them here. If you want to learn about anything that's going on in the crypto ecosystem, we will have that on our page first. Well, a lot of the times first. 90% of the time, we're beating the the Woo blockchain and the other one. So definitely want to check us out daily, even hourly, for the latest crypto news there. But if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io. Some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like we can help them get started and code up to where we are today. Check out this newest one here, USDC settled BTC and ETH options. Deribit. It's all about options, how we think that options are going to be taking over the leverage platforms eventually down the line as you see more and more TradFi pouring in. These are like 3 to 4 minute reads. Check them all out here and go one by one each week. And then on top of that, we have NordVPN. We have the #1 VPN. You guys can check it out here. Get 77% off NordVPN's 2-year plan. So basically $3.09. Set it, forget it, be done with it, lock it in. You don't have to worry about it no more. You can go to sites like Hyperliquid. You can go to sites like MEXC, and anything that is geo-blocking you from using it, you will now be able to use it. So definitely check out this opportunity right here. And on top of that, we're gonna be adding some merch here. I'm definitely adding some merch this weekend. I'm gonna be adding some Ethereum shirts, some Cardano shirts, and everything else that I can add. We're gonna change this page up, this front page, kind of get it away from ordinals onto some normal stuff here that people actually want to rock and kind of show their friends and stuff. So look out for that. Brand new stuff coming. 10, 12, 13 shirts are going to be added. Hats, jackets, and so much more. Check everything out here at onchainrevolution.io. And guys, remember, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until Monday,
Peace.
OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed, gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.